through our first few operator selections, then we'll find out exactly how much of an issue it's going to be. First locks go through. Of course, we still have that reveal, and then the 6th pick phase coming in. Definitely, I think one of the least impactful new additions to the way competitive is played and to the way these custom games sync up. I think the changes to that 6th operator that most teams make, and that often teams do, rarely really making too much of an impact on the opposing team's strategies and setups. Now then, we did see a Doc to Echo switch. Now, again, similar operators, ACOGs, MP5, they can hold long angles, they're 3 armors, they're tanky operators, but Echo ultimately far more useful with his gadget than Docs. Yes, the long range revives are nice on Doc, but they're so rare that you can actually pull them off. And the follow-up, the 2 drones now on Echo, far more powerful than just the one used to be, and you can cover both bomb sets with it. You can use one to assist your roamers, and they're gonna have, providing you're not silly with them, a much more likely chance of impacting around than one-off long-range revive shots from Doc's pistol.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there. So we have Mockit on the attack. First of all, we've got a team of Buck, Hibana, Dockerby, Ash and Zofia coming in, and it looks like Crunch is going to be making an early approach towards that bottom floor, with Sneaky working in from the other side. But as you can see, we've got at least one player. We've got Crying on the Jaeger downstairs, and he's going to be looking to deny that entry. I'm sure they want to get underneath that double wall and start to move the Bandit of Peda, possibly, if he's there to deny Hibana in opening that double wall.
I mean, you say that, and I was sort of agreeing and thinking, all right, maybe they will use him running around downstairs, delay for a while, but as soon as he killed one drone, he went right back up top, and now the entire lower floor is under Mockit control. This could have been PKD's plan all along: live in one spot, slow them momentarily down, but then have everyone upstairs, because they pre-made a lot of holes to look down through the floor itself. And if they now have the numbers upstairs, they can perhaps then use these holes themselves, as they do now start to look down through the shots that Buck is placing on them. Does see one above that hatch. There's an easy kill for RXWD. It's the first one of the game. Picks up Pieda's feet as he's proning over that hatch, and the phones start to ring. PKD feeling the pressure now from underneath and from the A wall.
Yeah, I think PKD have just given up too much possession on this map there, with Muti coming in with the 2nd kill onto Cannavaro there. Crunch getting the kill onto Crying, so that will leave us in a 5 versus 2. But Heisenberg manages to trade one back onto the Book of Crunch, and that will leave us 4 versus 2. But that is leaving PKD with it all to do. Joe on that strong anchor play that we've seen from him before, though, getting one back, but will be traded out by Muti, leaving us 3 versus 1. And Heisenberg has it all to do now. In comes the first kill from Heisenberg, though. That brings him to a 1 versus 2. He has to take these one at a time, but he finds himself somewhat pinched. I'm not sure if Mockit are exactly sure of his position, but the stun comes in from the Zofia, and Nerox will get the kill onto Heisenberg, bringing us the first round to Mockit Academy 1-0.
Yeah, there's a close peek there from Barrick. He could have got Ash in the head if he was a little bit better lined up when he came around that corner, and that would have made it a very interesting 1v1. But as it is, he fell down to the quick return fire from behind that Zofia pushed in with as well. First round then does head on over to Mockit. There was a moment there where PKD looked to be bringing it back into their favor, but Mockit quickly regaining control of it as the out of position PKD players that did pick up kills were trying to rotate back to safety.
Great attempt from Joe there on the anchor with the Echo. Managed to get that first kill, but, you know, I'm sure that that's something Mockit have probably identified from watching this team previously, is that Joe is a very dangerous anchor, especially when he's got an ACOG. Definitely favours that scope, and if he can get himself locked somewhere deep in sight, it can be very, very difficult to root out. And as I said, he's certainly got a pedigree when it comes to picking up those negative man count clutches. So great plays from Mockit there just to close that down, bring it to a 3 versus 1, and then they were still very serious about what they were doing. There was no kill chasing there, and they went about the business very, very clinically and got things finished off. Off the back of one round, I'd say that we've just seen a very strong round from Mocket there, and PKD certainly need to be looking at picking this round or certainly the next one up at a push.
All right then, setting themselves upstairs with a downstairs, I should say, with a very different defensive lineup here. PKD. Let's hope, as you mentioned, they can control the map a little bit better than they did previously. That one roamer that was alone. I understand why he ran back to the site so early on when he was a singular roamer, having 5 players swarm you. It is very tough to stay alive and to continue the game. But on a map this big and a map quite like this, I definitely feel like they need to have more than one roamer and they need to actually use them.
5 seconds left before insertion.
We're going to see the same attacking lineup from Mocket, but Crunch will take heavy damage from an early peek. I'm not sure who that was, but Nerox will get the kill onto Joe, which makes me think it was probably Joe on the mute that was pushing one of those angles. Did take some damage off the Book of Crunch, but without getting the kill, you'll have to say that that's possibly a wasted opportunity there and maybe a bad decision from Joe, which is quite unusual. Crying moving in gets the kill onto Crunch though and finishes off what Joe started, so that will take the 25 HP of Buck and take him off the board, so that's going to make them a lot safer from above, but that is not to say they're even going to get control and get an opportunity to attack from above at this rate. The roamers upstairs doing a fantastic job. Crying and Peter still in there, locked into armory, and they will be looking to waste as much time as they can with Heisenberg just supporting them from Fountain and Office.
Ooh, nice peek around for Heisenberg. Gets the timing on RXWD vaulting through that breach, which I will admit is a little bit unfortunate for him, considering I don't think he should have needed to vault on there the way that breach went through. But he's taken down all the same. It is still a man advantage for the defense now because of it. But one of them is pinned here in this locker's corner, and Muti knows it. He's trying to keep an eye on it. We'll back away and reload the rest of the magazine as the phone call goes out. And RX is looking to push from the other side. Flashbangs are heading in. The phones are ringing. Crying's coming to try and support. There's one of the gets down, but Muti immediately traded back by Pieta, who's the man hiding in the corner. The defense still has the numbers advantage then. You have that extra man in play. As the push comes in, they now have 2-man advantage. If Pieta gets sneaky, then RX is pushing forward. Doesn't see Heisenberg in time, and the quick flick around means PKD will get themselves their first defensive win, second round of the game, as they manage to hold the upper floor and stop the attackers before they can even get close to the actual site.
Fantastic plays from PKD, exactly what I said was needed from them. Come back and get a strong round themselves and just say we are not being run over today. And that's exactly what they did. And I was very, very happy with that performance for PKD versus the first round. You know, that was almost 2 perfect examples of, you know, the first round was the example of why not to give up a full floor of map control. And then the second one was a great example of how to keep it and why you should keep it. So great plays from them. And Mocket just didn't really have an answer to the roamers on the top floor there.
No, I think you're right. Every little fight they took, there was a great follow-up in it for PKD's defense. As I asked for previously, just run a couple of roamers. Run 1, run 2, run 3 is what they did. So they were able to back each other up. And even when some did start to finally fall, they were traded straight back again by their backup players that were there. And thanks to getting that early kill first of all, that meant they could continue trading until the end and ultimately still come out on top.
We are seeing a Legion on the defensive side this time. Peter's in there. We've got an Echo, Jaeger, Smoke and Bandit. And we will be seeing the setup going now. They're going to be defending that long wall of Office by the looks of it. And then also defending the interior wall of Archives. So definitely some resource being spent there on a potential Office push. That is probably in largely due to the ban of Thermite, so they know that the double wall is going to be approached a lot less at least. It's unlikely that the push is going to come from that side versus Hibana being able to use the safety of Office window to apply pressure to Archives, but it's not to say they won't, and it's certainly an option for Mocket just to change things up and put PKD on the back foot possibly, but it will largely be dependent on the Crunch book getting underneath and getting those bandits taken off, because we don't have a Twitch, we don't have a Thatcher, so that will be the only option. Will be Ash or Buck to get in there and clear that out if that's the approach that they want to make.
So as they push on in and look towards getting control of that office area all over again. It's time for PKD to think about their setup, think about their defense. Are they as confident with it as they could be? Are they happy having all 5 players upstairs? I'm going to say no, because now they're down to 4 players upstairs as Crying gets picked off by RXWD from a distance. She's still out there on that east balcony using that long angle through the windows. Not a great set of pellets there, Muti. I mean, not at least if you want to get through them. Yes, you can prone through the bottom one, so they'll have that. But it does not make it an easy or a fast rotate, that's for sure. And now RXWD is going to try and help push on in. The rotate from Pieta shut down as RX pushes aggressively forward, but he will get traded down to Joe. First kill for the defenders is there. But as mentioned before, the attackers can do this. They do force him to drop down through the hatch. The Echo drone is above. Crunch is pinned in the corner, and Heisenberg sees him. Sees him throw his hand on out. The grenade is going to land in an awkward position. Blows up on the wrong side of the wall for Crunch, but he'll make the hole in the wall before getting traded down by Okananara. He did manage to down Heisenberg, but we traded back as NRX and Muti get one on each before Sneaky Owl on the balcony finds Cannavara and ultimately ends the round in favor of Mocket. This top floor bomb site nowhere near as comfortable for the defense of PKD as it was when they were downstairs.
No, we're seeing a real flip-flop in performances here from round to round, but how about that misfortune for the Book of Crunch there, just opening the wall up and it being ultimately being his demise. It was as if the Mute of Jaw was almost waiting for him, but it just wasn't enough to swing the round in their favour. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a very similar lineup, and we're going to be going back to Armory Lockers. They are going to push it back up there rather than go down to the site downstairs that they had more joy with, having played off site that should have been available to them. But they're going to try again upstairs. If they lose this one, I think they've definitely got to switch it up after that. They certainly don't want to risk a 4-1 situation here.
No, exactly. They need to rethink and redo their defense of this floor. They're ultimately giving up so much control and so much space so early on that it's really starting to hurt them before even 30-40 seconds of the round has passed. So as a result, the attacking team have all the time in the world to pin out and force rotates from their defending opponents, and those opponents are getting picked off. Even if they don't die in the first couple of sprays of bullets, they've got nowhere then to run back to, nowhere then to run away from without being cut to pieces.
So we're seeing a very similar setup, the triple wall there just being reinforced in office. We're going to have the mute jammers going down, and we've also got Joe on the bandit there. So able to deny entry, but let's be honest, we haven't seen any real impact of the hard breaching ability of Hibana. We've got Thermite on the band there, so having 2 players dedicating themselves to keeping walls closed, I'm not sure if that's the best use of resource that they could be making at the moment. I'm certainly not saying that they should leave those walls open or unattended, but having 2 ops both doing the same thing when you've only got Hibana against you, I'm not sure that's really necessary.
No, you gotta agree on that front. They do gain an extra C4 with that second operator. If they had a potential plan in mind for that, then maybe that's where we are. But right now, I don't see it making itself immediately obvious, and they've already lost another player early on. Again, Heisenberg this time going down on that Valkyrie, another C4 operator that hasn't used hers before being taken off the board.
Yeah, the actual gadget of Valkyrie always being useful, obviously, and now he's going to be able to sit on those cams, so let's see if Heisenberg can still have an impact on this round with that information that he can feed back. But as you rightly say, the plant denial possibilities of that Valk C4 from underneath is certainly not to be sniffed at, and we've still got 2 players looking to clear out Crying downstairs. Now, Crying managing to keep himself downstairs for a lot longer than he has done previously. He's going to keep applying pressure to these roamers, and whilst he's down there, it does at at least prevent one or possibly two coming back upstairs. But Cannavaro will get the kill onto Crunch. So that is the book off the board, and that levels us up at 4 versus 4. And this is definitely game on from PKD now. They have not given up control of downstairs. They're making the push more difficult because of it. We've got the Dockerby, I believe it is, of Sneaky, still trying to work downstairs, but he's potentially going to be... Oh, no, sorry, I think it was the Ash, actually, of RXWD. But he was potentially going to be facing off against 2 Romas. Now, this is a hell of a run out from Crying, and that is brave, but he gives up his life to take the Ash with Muti, trading him straight back out, leaving us 3v3. Only time will tell how worthwhile that was.
It's actually pretty good, though, because it forces all the remaining attackers to be coming from one predictable direction. They do manage to stop the plant. A little bit more by luck and judgment. Kavanagh gets one, but Sneaky pushes in, gets Joe. Can't get the second one, though, but he's running low on bullets. His NRX will back him up from behind, leaving Pieta against 2. The plant's going down. He can see it on a ping as he goes in to finish it off. Can he get the second one? He's looking for it. Yes, he can. Pieta steps up for PKD. They finally managed to hold this upper floor and, as you said, avoid the disastrous 4-1 scoreline that they really did not want to have to end the half with.
Interesting example there of what I was saying. With only the Hibana to breach the walls, we had a situation there where, although a line of sight was opened, it just wasn't really useful to the attackers there. They did get on top of things, and, you know, let's not take away from that fact. It did take a clutch from Pieta. Just, I tell you what, I was saying beforehand that it was Joe that had the pedigree in clutches. We're now seeing them come across the team, and I'm going to have to say that it's Planetkey Dynamics as a whole, as a team. They are definitely a clutch team. So great players there, but just the lack of that, a coherent entrance being opened by Hibana there, just goes to show exactly what I was saying about the use of both Bandit and Mute to protect the walls. I just, you know, even if Hibana's got access to the walls, there's still no guarantee that the breach is going to be completely useful to them. So just a little bit too much resource. And I think they maybe recognise that now, and we've just got the Bandit this time without the Mute.
So, as the round begins to... Oh, there we go. As they load in, it's taking a slightly longer amount of time than normal. Crunch has disconnected. Until the team calls for it, we play on as normal. Mocket don't seem to mind, I believe is the rule. So, as they let it go through, we will play out this round 4v5 from the looks of things. They are, as you mentioned, back downstairs. This is a site which they held very comfortably earlier on. Managed to win the entire thing before the attackers even got in upstairs. So, time now to watch and see if they can do that again.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at Mocket's decision there not to call for the rehost, unless... I can't imagine that they won't have realised. I'm sure they'll have known it's required. So, strange choice for them to just play through. Obviously, at 2-all here, this is a bit of a pivotal round if you come through this with the advantage. But I suppose, you know, they could be thinking that one way or another, 3-2 up, 3-2 down. It's only one round, so maybe not in their minds worth the break in momentum, possibly. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We've got Crunch returning now, so he will be back for the next round. But right now, we've got RXWD just moving in quite quickly through the tension there, so you can see the pressure already being applied to the passports and customs area, and we see there with Mocket with pretty much free reign in that area now, looking to mount this attack.
So here it comes. They do get Crunch back in. Sneaky starts out by evening the numbers. 4v4 now, quick and easy for them. Perhaps that's why they were happy with the idea of playing at 4v5, knowing that they could get away with that first kill of the round so easily. They do look for another one as NRX gets it. Pieta, the hero of the last round, is off the table already now. And they will look to continue the push on through. And the rest of the defenders are all upstairs. If Mocket find this out, they could rush the site quickly and easily. The hatches are reinforced as well, so PKD's rotates are not easy here. Joe is looking for an opportunity to try and catch one of the attackers out. I think they heard him though, and they are ready and waiting. It's NRX who is low, so maybe that will help him. But she can definitely hear him. Crying gets sneaky. That's through one of the holes in above. There's Bandit coming down the stairs. Does pre-fire towards NRX, but can't land it, but neither does NRX's shot going the other way. Joe can hear him now. looking for that perfect moment. It's not there. Ryan back above his holes in the floor. Heisenberg as well there. The plant, though, is going down in sight, and they've got no way to get to it, as I said. Now they've got to come down. The danger of rotates. Ryan goes one way. RWXD takes... RXWD, sorry, takes down Joe.
Attackers are
Heisenberg has to punch his own way out of his barricade. Down the back stairs comes Crying. He's the only one to have had a kill so far on the defending team. Metal staircase, there's the jump over from Heisenberg. He finds Crying, but RXWD shoots Crying in the back before he can take awareness of it. There's the next one, but RX will get it all the same. Heisenberg falls. Mocket in a 4v5 round, lose one player and come out with the win.
Fantastic decision then from Mocket. I believe RXWD with the triple kill at the end there, coming in with a big 3k just to finish things off. And again, like you said, great players. They just almost trapped PKD upstairs, got the diffuser down, and then on border, you've got a couple of jump overs, but largely speaking, you've got two ways downstairs. If the hatches haven't already been opened, you've got east stairs and you've got the main stairs. So they just covered those rotations, held their angles, and did what they needed to do. Fantastic plays there from Mocket just to close that out. And how much of a boost could that be mentally, having come into the round 4 versus 5, decided to play on, and then they come away with the win?
It's got to feel good, especially for Crunch too. Going out and dropping early, worrying about his team, having them say, no, we got this. We're okay. We'll be fine. You reconnect. We'll play this one out. And then they come out with a win without him. Like that gives you a bit of it gives you a good feeling of trust and love and moral support for your team and being, all right, you guys are good at this game. I knew you were good at this game. That's why I'm on a team with you. And you just proved it in a 4v5. We can take this game easily now that we have all 5 players back in. And they're on defense.
Yeah, if Mocket can show any sort of superiority on defense here, I think we could be seeing a swift end to the map of border, but that will largely be decided, I think, by this first round. If PKD can come out here and take a win, that's going to be a big thing for them, just to level this up 3-all and just stop that momentum a little bit, but it is all in the balance at the moment.
It's interesting to see a Rook in play these days. He's a less common op from some teams. RXWD was hunting that drone, but didn't see it, even though he had the right idea. But it will stay alive for a bit longer.
Don't know how valuable the guaranteed down but not out from Rook is anymore. You know, how often do you see people picked up, really, especially amidst you know, the coordinated attacks that we see from these teams now in competitive. I think, you know, like you said, Rook, he's got the ACOG, but just the value dropping off a little bit recently, I think.
I don't even think it's just the guaranteed DBNO too, right? Like, yes, there's 10% damage reduction, but that still doesn't actually make any weapon take more than the 3 bullets to kill you, or whichever one it's 3 or 4. It doesn't add 1 extra shot to it. It's always going to be the same number. The ACOG is definitely a strength, but why not then just bring an Echo? Give yourself a useful gadget in tow with that ACOG.
Absolutely. So we see the Book of Joe getting underneath early and opening that floor up, but Crunch will move in and get the kill very, very swiftly onto Joe PKD. So that leaves us 5 versus 4 in favour of Mocket, and they are defending well from upstairs here, but RXWD will take some shots there in CCTV, but he lives to fight another day, and the Doc will juice himself up and give himself some of that HP back, but Pieda, meanwhile, gets the kill onto Sneaky, so that will level things up, taking the Rook off the board. So that is one of those ACOG scopes lost, and the long lines of sight of border can become a little bit more difficult, but Nerox with a C4 toss onto Crying, so he is getting things moving for his team, and that leaves us now 4 versus 3 with Cannavaro just trying to work in from east stairs there.
Heisenberg repels on in. That shot did just whiff past him as he starts to repel on through, but the next ones won't. They'll hit him square in the chest. Not enough to put him down, but enough to make him rethink his ideas. PKD as a whole seems to be rethinking their push as they're having a real tough time here getting control of CCTV. Pierre can hear the phone ringing. He's looking for it. He does get the kill. Took a little bit of damage, but not a whole lot. But there's another one in there. It's the Jaeger. He's going to try and drop down the hatch, and he gets away with it. And it's there to try and back him up. It doesn't see the person he needs. It's going to fall away. Muti gets up his armor. Crunch will get the kill from below and get back to site safety. That is a big misplay from PKD, but they do get NRX in a small consolation prize. That wall is not reinforced, and there's a big hole in it. Catches though could be by surprise for a moment, but now all the defenders are in hard camp mode, as they've got 45 seconds to just wait out this push. They will start using the smoke grenades to keep them at a distance, while the two attackers think about where they want to push from together as a unit. They are 2v2. Heisenberg is way out in the distance, droning from afar. Pieta is a little bit closer and is looking for the right opportunity. The smoke grenades will go off to block the main corridor. He does walk through it, but can't quite be seen by Crunch yet. There it is. The phone call wasn't enough. Crunch gets the kill on Pieta. Heisenberg now is alone. Will pre-fire through the wall. Looks for one, but Muti, despite being right where Heisenberg had his crosshair, is quicker on the trigger and will lock in the round for Mocket.
Round 6 then, all about Crunch and Muti, or I think, actually, sorry, was it round 7? All about Crunch, no, round 6, I was correct. All about Crunch and Muti there, fantastic team play from those two. I won't say that they got every kill between them, but I think they certainly got at least 4, if not all of them. So fantastic work there, like you say, got themselves back to sight, back to safety, just at the right time, and then just locked things down, closed things off. The clever use of the 2 smokes from Muti there, even though there was 45 seconds left. I think you're right, it was almost hitting a pause button, and it just allowed them to have that quick 5-second discussion of exactly who's watching where, what are we doing, what are we covering, what information have we got, and they put that to excellent use. And then Crunch getting that first kill onto Dockerby coming in, and Muti following it up with the finish. So yeah, great plays there from Mocket, and certainly flexing the muscle a little bit now.
So a switch from Monty over to Lion then in the 6th pick from PKD. That is a big change in operators, and definitely a big change in
Attackers need to locate
the world of how this attack's going to play. And as a result, time to see what the defense looks like in answer to it. Because if they're prepping for a Monty, they are going to be looking very different to how they prep and look for a Lion. So let's see
10 seconds left before
if they are ready for it. They will, of course, run multiple roamers, and that's the sort of thing you need to do against a shield anyway. That multiple roamer setup, something that always allows you to crossfire the shields and keep them on their toes. But against the Lion, it's just as useful, as you can't look multiple directions at once, even if there are big red outlines on the wall.
Very coordinated start there from PKD. It would seem they are moving with a purpose towards the northeast corner of the building there. But let's see if they can translate this swift movement. Look at that, how quickly they're moving into sight and looking to gain some dominance. But they must be sure not to overlook these roamers on the top floor. There's at least the Vigil and Ella up there, I believe. But it seems like they have taken early control of that east stairs area. And now it looks like RXWD on the Vigil and Crunch on the Jaeger are going to be trying to do something about that, but with 4 roamers upstairs, they've got a lot of work to do yet.
So there's the first of the Lion charges coming in. Crunch does answer by killing Joe even without it, and then starts to put down his system. Heisenberg takes a little bit of damage for that rotate, but ultimately gets where he needs to go. Starts to make a hole in the wall, but doesn't quite get the person he needs until a little bit later. But Crime will ultimately help out with downing and finishing RXWD off. Heisenberg's spray was a couple of seconds too early to see him, but they did get him in the end. Pieta gets the next one though onto Sneaky, and there's finally a man advantage for PKD. It does look like the defense is starting to fall back, as Muti will also fall, leaving just NRX and Crunch. Now, we've seen bigger clutches. We've seen teams pull this off. Not a lot of health on Pieta. Kavanagh is also not exactly healthy, and PKD have not been running the most tight of ship here so far today. So if they are not careful, these two could still turn it on them, but they have got all the time in the world, plenty of operators and plenty of gadgets left, and they can really start to try and find this pair of lone defenders.
Good early work then from PKD, and now just taking the time over things. They don't want to rush it, but they have to remember those angles work both ways. Nerox gets the kill onto Cannavaro, but Heisenberg will trade that straight back out. The diffuser was down, but there was a player stood right next to it, so that will be picked up by Pieda. But Pieda also on very low health here as the smoke, and they just need to, as I say, be careful of those angles working in both directions. But 1 versus 3, all to do for Mocket, and that will be the first for Crunch, but Heisenberg will get the trade again, and that will finish things with the round in favour of PKD.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate perhaps for the poor player holding the diffuser when the floor gets opened up underneath him. Of course, the defender rather, will spot him out and take him down, but because they managed to trade it straight back, they actually got out of that with the advantage. It doesn't matter if you died, they managed to trade it, kept their man advantage 2 in favour, and took 1 extra unknown defender off the board.
Moving into round number 8 then, we have got a current score of 4 versus 3 in favour of Mocket Academy, and although they've given glimpses of, looking like they were possibly going to run away with a couple of rounds on the bounce, PKD are fighting very, very hard and very well, as I suggested they would do. They've certainly given nothing up easily so far. Pieda and Heisenberg there topping the pops for PKD with 14 kills, and we've got very, very even. 2 players on 7, 2 players on 6 for Mockets. So frags being spread nice and even across the team there. But PKD not giving up anything easily. And I tell you what, if they can take this round and bring it level at 4-all, Mocket are certainly going to have the game on their hands.
That's for sure. I knew that they were probably hoping this to be out of the picture by now and a sealed up map, but their last defense didn't quite go to plan. Let's see then if they can get back on the table with this one, as they are once again defending downstairs, but this time a less common location in the tellers and bathroom spot. Let's see how they choose to set it up. They've brought a shotgun on their Echo, as they also have the smoke shotgun upstairs making a whole bunch of holes. Curious to see where they choose to set all these players. With so many holes to cover, that's a lot to pay attention to.
RXWD making the late switch onto that Echo, then certainly becoming a more popular operator, as you said, with having that second drone, and the ACOG just a little bit more useful, generally speaking, than the other ACOG operators available now, and so fear of crying just moving in towards that double wall quickly. So it looks again as if PKD are going to look to take swift control of this top floor, moving quickly just as they did in the last round, and it certainly seemed to work for them then. So let's see if Mocket can develop and just change things up, but Crying getting that first kill onto Crunch, and that's one of the top 2 fraggers for Mocket off the board very early. So game on, I'd say.
That sounds about right. Crunch already down and gone. Now it's time to take stock. You've got a minute. You've only got to find 4. You did a good job of trading back and forth yesterday, last round, yesterday. If you can just keep that trade up, that can keep you for victory here. Muti, however, gets one. Sneaky gets the next, and suddenly PKD are in the disadvantage. Joe now looking for one more, but can't get any return, and there is no answer to those 2 kills. As PKD are now looking to cautiously try and get into this office. There was one player in there. They droned it and knew him, but quickly underneath him, Pieda manages to fall to RXWD. Sneaky will grab Heisenberg, and with one more kill, there it is. Sneaky seals the round, in which, yes, Mocket grabbed one quick one to start them off. PKD grabbed one quick Mocket kill to start them off, but couldn't get any more after that.
Nope, so Mocket moving into the ascendancy once again, putting themselves on match point here, and they'll get at least 2 cracks at that whip. But I've got to say, a couple of shots missed there, particularly from Pieda when he was looking down onto the Echo of RXWD. I think he certainly had an opportunity to kill him there. The ACOG being a bit of a disadvantage in such a short-range gunfight, so I'm sure Pieda's going to be kicking himself a little bit after that one. And I'm not saying it was necessarily a swinging point, but all you've got to do is win each gunfight. There's a kill for every man, and if you can pick yours up, then your team's going to do all right. So moving into round number 9 then. We see the Doc pick this time. RXWD definitely favouring those ACOGs, possibly moving into the 6th pick. He might well change that up for Echo again. But how's about that late pick from Heisenberg there? PKD definitely thinking that they need to change things up and do something. I mean, are we going to go really back to the old school and see an Archives door push possibly?
Possible. We have seen some people, however, use it through the office.
Defenders, protect your
You
bombs
just
from being defused by attackers.
slowly walk your way through the office, use it to scout out the area, use it to find the players in there and single them out, cut off their support, and then just walk into the B site. Well, let's see. We also saw that to great effect with Blitz, in fact, as well, from some squads. Not necessarily just the Montaigne. So it is definitely going to be a curious one, and it's something that PKD obviously teased earlier on and then switched away. So you've got to remember, mock it. Are they going to expect it, or will they expect you to have switched away from it again like you did previously?
5 seconds left before insertion.
I think it's a big risk when you're facing match point against a very good team like Mocket, who've shown a lot of competence on this map. You know, coming with the Montagne, it's always a bit of a roll of the dice, to be honest. And here, how about a roll of the dice there from RXWD, putting that ACOG to good use, getting himself out and looking for that peak, possibly with Doc wanting to start things off with a bang for his team. And we will see the Heisenberg and Montagne just moving down there, cautiously outside of the building, crying once again, using that pace, getting straight up there with Zafir and looking to make some early challenges. But Montagne now of Heisenberg just approaching CCTV, and it looks like he's going to be used to clear that area out and could potentially be reporting back on Cruncher's position or coming to blows very soon.
Alright, they've got eyes on it. They know exactly where he is. They know it's Montagne for real now. Does he know he's being looked at, though? That's the question. Muti gets the first kill onto Cryin. Heisenberg is already low thanks to a couple of explosives being sent his way. Inside CCTV, they're holding it. And remember, PKD had issues getting hold of CCTV previously. Heisenberg now, as a shield, still having a tough time. Joe does get crunched, but Sneaky will take Joe straight down. Heisenberg still got one man in his face as Pieta takes Sneaky out. They do start getting a couple of kills with no return here for PKD. This is good for them, now that it's 3v3 again. But one of them is still at Montaigne, and he is low. Remember, 3v3 is not as good as it sounds for the attackers, considering one of them may have to stop and plant, and that gives the man advantage to the defense while one player is preoccupied by that diffuser.
It's also worth noting that every man that dies that isn't Montagne here is a blow for PKD. Montagne is certainly a player that requires that support. He's not generally one that's going to go in and clear rooms on his own. His big strength being when he's reporting and giving information and being used to push players away. You know, that's your primary use for Montagne, really. And then every bit of damage that gets done to him, again, is another blow for them. But having already lost 2 players here, they've now got Dokabe or Hibana that really needs to stay somewhere in the vicinity of Montagne to really make him useful. And that is going to be very difficult from this point. I think that Mocket do have the advantage in this situation.
I think you're right, especially as we're down to 37 seconds on the clock. And this Montaigne is still in a tricky position. He'll shoot the door open, but it doesn't even all open up for him. Now he finds the Doc into his right. Everyone else trying to go around, come up onto the bus to help out, but that's another 15 seconds burn, and we're down to the last 15. Doc managed to get away through all of that thanks to the smokes, and Pieta does grab 1 kill, but it's traded straight back by RXWD. Now they know where the last 2 are. Sprays come now. Oh, Kavanaugh gets the team kill on Heisenberg just to seal it when it's most painful to give Mocket the first map.
Yeah, as you say, that Montagne, that's always the danger with Montagne moving into a room there. You've got a player who has to support him by trying to take the picks from behind because he can't shoot whilst his shield is extended. So then you always have the risk of a team kill with the bullets flying from the wrong side of his shield. And Cannavaro just being rushed, I think, is a big part of what's happened there. As I said, with those 2 players being lost quite early on, that sort of leaves one player almost shackled to Heisenberg on the Montagne, and it just made that push very, very difficult. And it it basically came down to what I suggested at the beginning, the potential of that archives door push. That's what they were left with. That was what their option was. But with 20 seconds left on the clock and only 3 operators, it's going to be a difficult push. That push, I would personally say, is generally successful when it can be a bit of shocking, or you can get there in the first 30 seconds. You know that there's no C4s on the board, or you can put pressure underneath to avoid that being used, and you can just get in and get the plant down quickly. I think that's the only time that plant is really effective. Once the defenders have had the time to set themselves against it, very, very difficult to pull off.
Yeah, indeed. So we did see Mocket ultimately coming out there ahead. We could definitely see PKD slowing down a little bit and feeling a little bit more wary, shall we say, as the rounds drew on, and Mocket didn't have that. They still had the confidence in their moves. They held their angles firm. They were quick. They were sharp. There was a lot of umming and ahhing and back and forth on PKD, which ultimately put them in a tough spot between the clock and their opponents before the round was out. But Clubhouse is a very different map to the way Border plays these days. And we will, of course, have to see how that goes through that map in just a few moments' time. So once we do head on over to Clubhouse, we're going to be looking for what bomb sites are first and where you then attack those sites, because Monty is not useless on some of the new ones, and if they choose to bring him out, they need to use him better than that last one, in all honesty. Because he was a little bit anticlimactic towards the end of that second game. He did not have a tough job, did not have a strong input to the round, and his team really would have felt it from the backside. So
moving the second map for us then is going to be Coastline, and that is again.
Wait, is it Coastline? I thought I took him this whole
Yeah, no,
Clubhouse. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, yeah, Coastline for the second map. Clubhouse will
Clubhouse
be
is
the
third.
decider. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think. I just think Mocket have got a little bit of momentum here. I think unless Planetkey can pull something out, we're probably going to see a 2-0.
Yeah, I think you may be right. I mean, my points are still there. Monty is not useless on Coastline. We've seen some teams bring him to the table on it. Billy, do you want to get in on the casting, buddy? I don't know what's going on with him right now. I apologize, but well, yeah. You look at Coastline and the potential use of Monty there. He can be done. It's not impossible, but it really did feel like PKD threw him in at the end of Border there as more of a desperate measure of trying to make something work, and not as a strategy they've actually practiced and played.
Okay then, so we are going to take a very, very short break, and I mean short in terms of less than a round of Siege. Just got a very slight technical issue to iron out, and we will be back with you. So hold on tight, a couple of minutes, and we will rejoin.
Hard to keep a straight face when I'm burning like fire, and you walk all the sides. I'm drawn in desire, and you have to think twice. It's hard to keep smiling when I try to set things straight. You don't even listen. closing every door. I'm trying to open. I tell you love you more, and you say it's broken. You make me weak. You're the one I seek. And I hate that I love you. I hate that I love you. If I could.
Welcome back then, and apologies for that slightly delay, but we are back with Market Academy versus Planetkey Dynamics, and you join us as we go straight into the ban phase for Coastline, and we see the first ban come out, and it is the same again. Glaz is off the board. Not as much of a surprise on Coastline. Very, very popular operator.
Yeah, and it's another map with some very long angles that operator can really make the most of. A lot of tight corridors where smoke grenades can really dominate, and taking him out of this contention, taking him out of your mind so you no longer have to worry about him, will definitely make a lot of teams feel better when it comes to dealing with it.
Next up goes Ying then. So another popular one for Coastline. There's a lot of plant points. I'm thinking service door. I'm thinking hooker door. A lot of plant points whereby you can just, or even drop bathroom and get in there for a plant on penthouse where you can just feed those candelas straight into the site, no problem, to cover any plant. So Ying, very popular ban on Coastline as we've seen. If this one isn't mirror, I'm certain the next one will be. So Echo comes out first of all. And will, I think it's Planetkey now. Yeah, Planetkey choosing. They're going to be defending first again. So will they come out and prove me wrong and not ban the mirror? That would be interesting because we've not really seen a lot of mirror play full stop.
No. There's a couple of sites here where... never mind. She's very strong and very useful. There's others where she's not so. But they're taking her away completely. So we will not get to see whether they... or how they use her at all. So they're forced to do something different. But here's what I was going to say is that Maestro not being banned, but Mirror being done, means that his cameras can in large part do a similar job because of their toughness to remove and ability to see through smoke. It can be hidden away and still provide a lot of information while staying in a very safe location.
I think I've mentioned it previously. With the volume that we've seen Mirror banned out, I know that she does change sites up, and I do like it because it forces us onto sites that we don't necessarily see. So it is nice to have the option there, but it does definitely raise the question of a protect option within the ban phase as well. How do you feel about that, Banky?
I like the idea, but I don't think it's necessary because we have so many operators in the pool in these days, and it's only going to keep growing. That just because one operator is protected, or rather one operator is banned, doesn't mean there's not someone else that can do their job in a slightly different way or a close or similar fashion. So I'd rather force teams to learn multiple of these similar operators rather than just protect one all the time and always use that one.
Yeah, I can see that. And as you say, I think as the pool grows as well, I'm sure as time goes on, we're probably going to see another operator that's, maybe similar to Mirror, or like you say, performs the same function in a different manner. And at that point, then it becomes obviously less relevant the more operators we get. So yeah, fair point there. Heisenberg getting those two Maestro cams out. Then we've got one in the corridor and one in the billiards room, and that will certainly be looking to feed information back, which is the primary function, but also potentially for a little plant denial or at least a bit of a distraction. But we've got a very swift approach from Mocket, at least so far. Doors being opened and preparation being made to enter the building. But Canavar is out on the vigil, on the roam downstairs, and we're going to have them coming together already, less than 30 seconds into the game here. And Canavar has to move back upstairs as the vigil. Are PKD just giving up control of downstairs too quickly, the same as they did on border?
So they are not hanging around, and they are coming in quickly. Opening up some spots in the floor. That one not the best choice. I don't believe that actually gave any kind of view into that pool table, but they are forcing some movement here on PKD's part as they're starting to take a little bit of damage up through the floor. And it's time now to get the first few kills out. Joe and Pieta, one each, very quickly taking down the Ash and the Zofia. Sneaky, however, will respond by taking Pieta off the board, but there's still a minute and 40 to go. And I do think Mockit are a kind of team, and we've seen it before, that don't mind losing a couple of players early because they will ramp it up at the end and happily get multiple kills.
Buck just working from underneath there, Crunch, as we've seen previously. Certainly a favourite of his, and we will have the Lion of Sneaky just using those holes to try and get anything he can. But the defender's very, very aware of him for PKD at the minute and just keeping themselves out of those lines of sight. And just Canavar now holding the tight angle in kitchen. He knows how popular Sunrise is going to be, and I'm sure he knows that somebody's going to be operating down there. But do they know that Canavar is there? That's the question. With the Vigil, if they've seen him move upstairs and then the drones are picking up his signal, they could well be mistaken for him still being upstairs when he's actually managed to rotate back down. But Muti just has to stop what he's doing, and I would say with that angle that is being held by Sneaky now onto kitchen door, they are certainly aware of Canavar's presence. Is he going to move forward? Is he going to give Sneaky the view that he needs? At the moment, it's somewhat of a stalemate down there. But that could be a crucial Roma, and I think Sneaky just needs to hold his patience here. But Joe will move out and get the kill onto Sneaky, so I think that was actually a vertical kill possibly from Joe there. Crying getting the kill onto Muti, leaving us 1 versus 4, and as Crunch moves into sight, Heisenberg will get the kill. Fantastic defense from PKD.
Nicely done. Let's see if that's a sign of things to come for them, considering they did not have a great run, yes, in the last map, but they also did not have a start anywhere near that good. So if they can keep that up, they are looking much better over here.
Moving into round 2, then we will have PKD on the defense again. They will play another 4 rounds on the defense. We're going to have Legion, Jaeger, Pulse, Doc and Smoke by the looks of things. Now, Pulse always a good choice on coastline. There are a lot of vertical options, but I was just about to say he's generally more useful for a top floor objective where his C4 can be used to deny plants. So no surprise to see that switched out onto Bandit there for a kitchen service entrance defense. And it looks like the 6th pick coming in though will move Hibana into the lineup and Maestro in favour of the Bandits. So Heisenberg, a man of many faces there, moving through the operators and trying to maybe catch Mockit on the hop.
So let's see.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as
They're
many
in the
bombs as they
kitchen
can.
again. This is a site which traditionally requires a active mirror presence and really can change its
Located a bomb.
control because of it. So now that she's gone, how's it gonna sit here for PKD? They've got, as I say, there's Maestro cams that could help, especially in some of the common plant spots, but this is the other part. It's also a site that's often defended from elsewhere. That vertical play is a thing here, and he did a good job of holding around the last site.
10 seconds remaining.
Let's see if they can do it again.
Yeah, I think the vertical play helped rather than hindered the defenders last time. Joe managed to get the kill. I'm pretty sure that was from upstairs onto the Lion of Sneaky, and that just freed Canavar up to start roaming again on the Vigil. And from there on, it was a bit of a house of cards. It just sort of came tumbling down, 1 kill after another. I think it was only about 15-20 seconds then to the end of the round. So great plays from PKD first round. Let's see if they can sort of emulate that performance again here, but we're going to see some early pressure being applied to that VIP area. In a kitchen service objective, you know that VIP is going to be one of the main battlegrounds there, so it looks like they are trying to hold that from Penthouse and Theatre at the moment, as Mocket will know they can't just move in there comfortably and start challenging from VIP before they clear these roamers out. But Sneaky will get the first kill onto Joe, opening things up for us. Moving through now. There's going to be some careful droning going on. They're going to try to pick out where these remaining roamers are. There's still two, Pieda and Canavar, around the theatre penthouse area, but RXWD is going to be moving in, and RX gets the kill onto Canavara. Pieda, meanwhile, manages to get the kill onto RXWD, who was trying to open up that rear side of theatre, and Pieda coming here, evening things up for his team. Fantastic kill onto Nerox, so that's a quick double for Pieda, and they still need to clear this roamer. They cannot progress until they do so. Sneaky having a look onto site, but there is two men holding site, and with one upstairs, they're going to have to do something about him, and that will be exactly what was needed. Muti getting the kill onto Pieda and just bringing them now to a 3 versus 2 with the two defenders left on site.
They are looking all around, trying to figure out where they're coming from, because unfortunately for them, there's a lot of different places that could be. They do start the revive through the floor, and a couple of shots come up against them, but keeps them standing. So they will use this last minute now to try and find the last couple of defenders. They are close to the bottom of that hole, but the one below will work out. Cryan gets the kill onto Crunch. Can he keep it up, though, as Muti and Sneaky now have technically less health combined than the two defenders. But they are trying to do what they can to keep them locked out. Sneaky's still upstairs. 30 seconds to go as Muti will start to make up holes in the walls.
Just holding their angles now. We've got Crying on the smoke. We've got Maestro in the bathroom area. Just looking, and I tell you what. Oh, Sneaky just on the wrong side of that hole for him, but I'm pretty sure Heisenberg was watching. As he drops, though, Crying makes the prediction, and he's watching the hatch. Moves round, gets the second kill, and how's about that from Crying? Stepping up and finishing things off for his team. 2-0, PKD.
Good round from him. Keeping his team in it. Helping spread the load from the last game, where they clearly didn't look quite as cohesive on border, but here it definitely feels like PKD are a better team, or a better put together team than this Mocket lineup, who are really struggling to find the kills they need without losing out there themselves.
Moving into round 3, then we will see a very similar defensive lineup, but we're going to see Valkyrie being thrown into the mix here. Can be a useful operator on this map, although external cams wise, a lot of them generally get found, but we've not been seeing the IQ picks here, so not to say that that will be the case, but there's a lot of obstacles quite close to the building. If you think about the penthouse double window, that side of the building, it's quite difficult to get a cam at any distance where there isn't obstacles between the cam and the building. Certainly one out into ruins can be useful just to watch the exterior there, but I think we're more likely to see at least a couple of internal cams here. I particularly like to play one just up on the ceiling of Cool Vibes stairs. It rarely gets picked up, and it's just a great watch for any attacking rotation up those stairs.
So can they keep this hold on? Can they go as well as they did before? This is one of those sites where the glass band is especially useful too, because of how long it is and how long the angles can be, and how potentially he can be playing from outside. Now they don't have to worry about that either. It's definitely a comfortable set of bands that are working nicely in terms of PKD defense, to see if it works so well for their attack as well. Remember, Mocket tried this previously by going underneath and doing what they can, and while they made PKD run around a lot upstairs once they were in and once they're making these holes, they ultimately couldn't get the kills through those holes in the floor, and Planetkey came out on top.
As we always say, those angles work in both directions, and you've got to be careful. But RXWD coming in with a quick kill onto Canavar there. The Vault cams will already be placed, I'm sure, and that gives him the option to just sit on those cams, feeding information back in. But it is never good to lose a gun and a man so early into the round. Crunch getting the second onto Crying, and that's the operator that we've seen not only doing a lot of business in terms of frags for the last couple of rounds, but it's also the smoke off the board. So that is a very important utility gun with less less than a minute off the clock, and that will allow Crunch now to start opening things up. RXWD killing Joe this round very quickly, running away from PKD, and Mocket just applying more and more pressure. The kill onto Heisenberg will take the Maestro, leaving Piero 1 versus 5. RXWD finishing off. I think that might just have been a 4K there, and takes the round for Mocket.
That's better there for Mocket. Instead of locking everyone downstairs, instead of trying to do everything from below, having RXWD up on that windows really locked down the movement that PKD could do while the floor below them was being demolished. And RXWD really make the most of it on that Ash with that beautiful weapon in the R4C, cutting them to pieces.
That will bring us to 2-1 in favour of PKD then. Don't forget we are 1 map up to Mocket, so this is all to play for now. It's all or nothing for PKD. If they don't take this one, it will be all she wrote for them, so they will be wanting to come out of this defensive phase as strongly as they can, I am certain, but Mocket are not too keen on allowing them to do it, so they've just taken the round. Can they start to build some momentum now and get another attacking round? We're going to see a blue bar and sunrise bar hold. It's the first time we're going to see that site today, and it's another site where I'm sure Mocket are going to try to get in above them. So we saw a very good roam game last time from PKD, which managed to burn a minute and a half off the clock. Let's see if they do that again. I think they had 3 upstairs last time, so let's see if they go with such strong numbers again.
They can't be too worried about the 1 round. That's not the end of the world. As we did, of course, see a confident dominant performance by Mocket on the last map, but it still ended up in only a 6-3 scoreline. They definitely don't have to worry about just the 1. Cryan switching things up now, not playing the smoke on this side, handing that over to Joe instead. They've already found 3 of the 5 drones here, which should actually affect the attackers a little way as they try and push themselves in. And Cryan going for an aggressive spawn peek too.
I think he thinks he's on pre-nerf Ella there. First kill will come in for Muti then, onto Canavar, taking the Pulse off the board, and that could be a big loss. Pulse bringing a lot of information if kept alive, so that will bring us to 5 versus 4 early in the round in favour of Mocket, and it certainly seems like they're starting to find their feet as Crunch moves in with a headshot onto Peter, taking Jaeger off the board. 5 versus 3 now. The frags are about to start raining in. That forces Joe out of the hooker area, and he's certainly trying to hold that because he knows that Buck wants to get in there and start opening the floor up, but Heisenberg gets the C4 kill, and RXWD will trade that straight back out. RXWD with a second onto Cryan. Joe getting the kill onto Sneaky, getting a second onto Crunch. 2 versus 1 now. That's a 2 kill on the shotgun. It's going to take a 4K for Joe to clutch this out now. What can he do? Is he going to go for the jump out? He does, but Nerox is there waiting. Well predicted and well positioned from him, and that will take another round on the bounce. That's 2 in quick succession now for Mocket. Can they come out of this 3-2 up and take the advantage heading on to defense?
Ooh, it's not a good sign. It went so well to begin with for PKD. And it might now be sliding away, because it's not just that Mocket won 2 rounds. Those 2 rounds were dominant. And now, let's hope PKD can pick their heads back up, keep their heads up, in fact, and not let those 2 rounds get to them. They did look very good in the previous few openings, and now they're staring down the halfway mark with a Mocket who looks like they've finally shown up.
It's too true, they do, coming through with 2 very strong rounds there, and the thing that struck me is how fast they are working through that PKD side, getting into the building very quickly. We're seeing the first kill, sometimes 2 kills come in within the first 30 seconds. It's putting them at a strong man advantage and making things very, very difficult for PKD. So I think they're just getting caught up in a little bit of shock and awe here, and PKD certainly suffering to those blitzkrieg style attacks that we're seeing from Mocket. Let's see if they can keep that pace up.
So, the defense now has a cap can in it. And looking at the last couple of rounds they lost, unless these traps do a lot of damage to the attacking players as they enter the buildings downstairs here, which they're not going to do now that they've spotted that there is a trap on that door, I don't know where the benefit from cap cans are really going to come from. The people that were running around a lot were the defenders, with PKD running away from the holes in the floor. The attackers were largely static once they got inside and started making those holes, and then it was RXWD on the windows. So, curious to see what they think they're going to get out of that cap can.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the mentality is that we've been getting rushed here, so, you know, try and put some traps out there to slow things down. But totally agree with you. I think there's maybe just a little bit of a misunderstanding of exactly what Mocket have been doing there, and that has been moving into a single location, like you said, and playing quite static. But how about that from Crying, taking Crunch off the board, such an important operator so far? That will be a good first kill, and they certainly have got a handle on him though as Nerox moves in and gets the headshot onto Crying. Those angles once again working in both directions, so they would have been opened up, I imagine, by the smoke himself, and now they've worked against him, and that will give some control of Sunrise. And the shots now raining onto Canavar as well. He's going to have to use those stim pistol shots just to bring himself back up to full health and to continue fighting, but the challenge comes in directly onto Hooker Deck, and again something Mocket have done very well. Nerox getting the kill there, and that's challenging on multiple levels. So RXWD really becoming a force on Coastline here as he gets the kill onto Joe. I'd be interested to see how many kills he's got total, but Heisenberg manages to get the kill onto Nerox, so that leaves us 3 versus 2 in favour of Mocket. PKD with it all to do here.
Did get a couple of quick kills, and the early one on Buck was nice, but the immediate trade back onto Smoke's even better for the attackers. Pierre now looking to try and flank, meaning Heisenberg is alone on the site. He will take RXWD down. This is giving him a good moment or two. Pierre is waiting for Sneaky. Muti will trade him out, but Heisenberg was there ready and waiting to return. PKD with a great recovery at the end of that round.
Yeah, I really thought that one was slipping away from them, but Heisenberg grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck, took a 3k, and managed to win the round for his team. So that will see PKD coming out of their defensive phase 3-2 up. But as we've just seen, the map has been quite strong for the defending team so far today. It took two very well coordinated and quick attacks from Mocket to pinch rounds there from PKD. So now that Mocket that get themselves onto the defense, I'm sure they're going to be feeling reasonably confident about getting this finished off. But PKD, as I've said all along, tough fighters and certainly making a game of it.
That's for sure. Now that they're looking over to attack, what do Mocket have in their back pocket for defense? They of course don't have that mirror to play with either, but they are putting themselves down into the kitchen, and they do see that last second switch from Ash to Zofia for, well, they don't see it to Zofia, but they see it go from Ash for Pieda. Now let's see where it goes. Do you like the idea of switching Ash to Zofia? Zofia does a similar job to Ash, but gives a little bit more in terms of utility, thanks to those concussion grenades as well.
Muti doing a little bit of remodeling with Smoke's shotgun there, this sight on it as well, which isn't always put on there, but he's gone for it. Crunch is just going to be reinforcing that rear wall of theatre there, so definitely some attention being paid upstairs. I would expect that we're going to see 2 or 3 players up there looking to hold the upstairs. A little rotation put into courtyard there, gives a very quick way in and out of the corridors there.
5 seconds to go.
And RXWD now just getting himself positioned downstairs. He'll start using that cloaking device very soon, I'm sure, just to keep himself away from the drones and just keep the team guessing. He's there to burn time, let's remember, and that's certainly what he's going to be looking to do.
And here they go.
RXWD still around that courtyard area, and he's definitely got a plan there. He's got himself a good setup, can get anywhere on that downstairs floor very quickly, I'd have suggested. The scan comes in from Heiser. First one of his E1Ds crying on the Twitch, moving in very quickly. So we're getting a quick approach here, but with the Legion going off, that is going to have told Sneaky exactly where that approach is coming from through luggage. So he's going to look to challenge that, but won't play any shots. He's just going to hold a hard angle at the minute. These two are almost certainly going to come to blows in a second. That shouldn't be too hard for the Twitch to take out, but how about that? How Sneaky managed to win that fight there. He was actually sort of pressuring from behind. If he moves quickly here and is aware, he could get two, but he won't do. The Twitch of Crying gets picked up, and more Legions will rain in to make that approach difficult. But Crying's just going to use that Twitch drone that he's got now just to start taking out possibly those Legions, but no, leaves them in place, and that's going to make it very difficult to challenge out of that luggage single door. And Sneaky doing a great job of holding two attackers at bay here.
And he's going to try it for as long as he can. Crunch will grab the first kill, though. Takes Cryan down. Aggressive in from Heisenberg. Gets onto Muti, but RXWD's there to take him straight back. Crunch will grab another one onto Joe. Here's the push out from Pieta, but Sneaky's waiting for him. Kavanaugh now alone. Does get the kill onto Crunch, but he was ready for him, so he's taken a lot of damage in the process. Oh, and Sneaky seconds away from spotting him across the courtyard. Kavanaugh heads out into the corridor. They hear it pop. Sneaky just sees his head dip back inside. He's got 45 seconds, 3 to find. It's not impossible if he can single them out into 1v1s, but he does not have a lot of health to win even those 1v1s. Sees one player that's close eye underneath. Has to head through a bit more barbed wire. Sneaky can hear it, I think. There's the ping from his team. He steps onto a mine. Does get the kill onto Sneaky. Doesn't take any damage, so he can pull that out in time. And now make his way downstairs. He's got to reload his ACOG. Looking for another mine because he knows that's all he needs. He does see it, but as he comes down, they're both lined up. RXWD is all it takes. And it's a nice attempt from Canavar, but it's not going to be today.
A solid early defense from Mockett there. We just saw the Romas picking up those couple of kills early. Heisenberg trying that aggressive push into sight, but as you say, got traded out very quickly, and that just nullified the attack, I think, a lot there. It just really took the teeth out of it, and then it was just a matter of time until those last couple got picked up. But I think the two players approaching from luggage and just continually challenging, I think it was the Twitch, I'm not sure who the second one behind, possibly Zafia, behind, just made it very, very difficult because you had sort of 40% of the team pushing from one room. Legion knew exactly where both of them were, and it was just an extremely difficult challenge for them. The Twitch drone came around, got taken out without destroying the Legion mines, so there was no way to approach Legion without letting him know that you were coming. So very, very difficult. Easy enough for Sneaky to hold the angle there. He wasted a minute, and then both of the kills went down as well. I think it was Crunch who moved in and actually got the kills. But yeah, great plays from Sneaky there. Moving into round number 7 then. We've got RXWD coming out on the Vigil again. Great plays that we saw from him last time, just to open up that downstairs and create himself a very workable area with the Vigil. And we're going to see a lot of attention paid upstairs to the VIP and the sort of billiards area. They want to keep all of that clear, particularly billiards and hooker, and just stop anybody getting in there and opening up the floor, which they did to such great effect.
So, as the last few seconds of this preparation phase tick on over, here comes the attackers. It's 3-3. BKD have not looked bad on this map at all, but the rounds are very much back and forth right now between these two squads. Neither team really seeming to have the other's number for sure. Sneaky takes a lot of damage doing that, but deals more out to Joe. Does down him, but he may not be aware of that. He throws a Legion mine out the window to make sure. They are having to use... Oh, it was close to landing on Joe. They do get the revive off, but they have to use a lot to be sure of it. They used a lion charge to assist in making sure he was safe. Alright, WD takes a lot of damage from Heisenberg out on that balcony, and is the first kill of the round then, coming in PKD's favor. There is a flashbang that lands perfectly on top of the bar. That Jaeger's got 2 trophy systems in there with him to make sure that they wouldn't actually get all the way in. Ash is out. Oh, Crunch with the pre-fire landed perfectly onto Cryan's head. A little bit unlucky for him, but Crunch is having a great one there. And the rest of PKD, after picking up their first kill, are having to rethink where they push in from. And losing that Ash will be a big one as well, as they are always, of course, right up there in front in the accuracy and the push.
Muti and Sneaky still working that cool verbs area. We've got Nerox there, just looking to hold them off from the pool entrance into Sunrise, but Joe will get a great kill underneath the couch there, taking Crunch out. So that will bring us to 4 versus 3 in favour of PKD, and there is certainly no advantage to be found on this map as it bounces backwards and forwards each round that we go. You just never know who's going to win it, and we've got a challenge now from Joe onto Cool Vibe Stairs, but it looks like Sneaky, I think it was, has just dipped out of that fight for now, and it's going to allow Joe to get in upstairs and to start opening things up as the hatch goes in Hooker, and he just starts looking down into sight now, and that's going to make it more difficult for the defenders. But again, it looks like Nerox has picked his spot, and he's happy to watch those angles and try and pick up the reverse vertical kill. And there we go. Oh, just gets the kill through to Nerox, and that was close.
Yeah, Nerox was right. You did see something at the corner of your eye, but that someone saw you too, re-peeking it being his downfall. The smokes head towards the blue stairs. 35 seconds to go here then. These two looking to try and hold on to it against 4. We've seen the situation before where there are 4 members of PKD on attack and 2 members of Mockit on defense, and that time PKD came out on top. What's it going to be this time? Oh, looking good for PKD as Pierre grabs the first kill. One jumps down the staircase. Sneaky gets the kill with a Legion mine, actually, but the diffuser's going down inside the other site, and it's full of 3 members of PKD. Muti, here's the plant successfully go through. Looks then to make his way in. Isn't sure of where they are. Will make a hole in one angle. Still very concerned about that window, but there's no one actually out there right now. He, of course, is unaware of that. Pieter's upstairs. Heisenberg and Governor are on the plant spots. He sees one, tags it up, but Heisenberg will get the kill all the same. And PKD take the lead once more.
Yeah, I think we've just seen the assault rifle versus semi there, and that is exactly what's going to happen almost every time. So that sort of range particularly. So that was a great round. A little bit of bad luck in there for that kill on the Legion mine from Sneaky. That's exactly my sort of luck. 95% of the damage done on the way down as he's jumping, but he lands on the Legion mine just to finish him off. So the kill goes to Sneaky. How about that? So moving into round 8 then, we have still got PKD on the attack now. They will be, unless we go to overtime, and they're going to be looking to get this finished off very quickly. I'd have said they're definitely going to be wanting to take this one and get themselves onto match point, but we're going back to Blue Bar and Sunrise. Not too sure about that decision from Mockit. I didn't feel like they were particularly close then.
No, but I think a lot of that was due to a lot of their play around those areas being solo, and a lot of their roamers being picked off without support. If they decide to play things a little bit closer, a little bit tighter, that could be very different this time around. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Maybe that's why they think they've got a shot this time and they didn't before. Or maybe it's something completely different and they're going to surprise us once more.
RXWD bringing the castle this time then, so interested to see where those castle barricades will be placed. I'm sure they'll probably be on some of the external locations, but nope, just trying to seal off VIP there, so we're getting, you know, almost allowing access in there, but just stopping them making the push directly from there into Billiards and Hooker. And you can just see there with the amount of resource going in upstairs, we've got double window castled off as well. And that just goes to show just how important they know that that area is. And it looks like just opening up that luggage window so they can put a challenge onto aquarium bathroom if needs be. And they really do not want PKD in up above them again this time.
No, they do not. So here comes PKD once again, starting all over the map. Starting to make their way in from all angles, from above and from below, and starting to close in on that skylight. A couple of holes still being made from the different angles. And
Now they wait for the pressure to come on in. PKD's drones are starting to spot out the first couple of defenders, first couple of placements. That's going to make them feel more confident about their initial moves. But those players have killed off those drones and are now feeling a little bit safer.
As you can see, just trying to clear out the roamers there, but a good game being played by Mocket so far. We've still got a couple up there surviving on the roam. We've got Jaeger in behind the bar of Crunch again, but dealt with much easier by Crying this time as he moves in and gets the headshot. And the second kill will come from Crying onto our XWD, bringing us to 5 versus 3 in favour of PKD. And the chips are certainly stacking heavily in their favour as we stand at the minute. Sneaky playing on cool vibe stairs there. Will get the first, and that's the double kill hero of Crying off the board there. So Sneaky looking to possibly get a second, but I think he's made the right decision there. He's just dipped out. He's got the one kill that he needed. He's got the Legion mines down, and he's just backed away, make sure that he lives to fight another day. But that will leave upstairs control to PKD now. Here to getting the kill onto Muti, and Joe being able to open up that ceiling with Sledge, and that's where the real danger comes from. Nerox and Sneaky are down 2 versus 4, have it all to do now.
Sorry, can he do it this one? He does catch him. It's a down, but he's not aware. He knows. He might be able to hear him shuffling him around, but in trying to get the kill, Kavanagh kills him off. Nerox, though, will trade him back, but he's still in a 1v3. It's a 2, though, because the Sledge may be down. He sees one more, tags her up as well. It's Pieta, but it's not quite enough. The drone spots him going upstairs, so now they know he was heading for that revive. It's the spot, however, lets him know that they know, actually. He heads back down. Joe crawls himself into a Legion mine. Heisenberg may have an opportunity here. He does tag him. And Nerox was so mobile and active. He gives himself away and walks straight into Heisenberg's crosshair instead of sitting a little bit more still and waiting for the plant noise to come out. Yeah, I think he was still hunting the potential Sledge from above.
Yeah, I just don't think he recognised that one had gone down, and I honestly thought that Nerox might just do that. He was playing it all so well there, and then he got that that good bit of fortune that you're always going to need in that sort of 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4 situation. With Joe just moving into the Legion mine and finishing himself off. You're always going to need that bit of good fortune, but it just didn't prove enough for him that time. And I think he was maybe, as you said, a little bit aggressive against that Lion there. Probably could have just backed out of that fight and held an angle rather than pushing him for the kill.
So, match point the other way now. PKD looking to get themselves onto map number 3, secure themselves another chance at taking home this victory. With this round right here. Hooker and Billiards is the choice for RXWD and the rest of the Mocket team, but unfortunately for them, they haven't had a good shot at holding it so far, and that's when their bomb site admittedly was downstairs. Now, though, they will look to and have to try their best to hold it with everyone upstairs. They had a couple of key spots that they just couldn't hold in the last one, which caused that. Spots such as the aquarium bar, where Crunch's lucky hold in the previous round did not get repeated, and he fell down to Cryan Ash, quickly followed by, as you mentioned, that double kill for Cryan. But now they've got more players upstairs. Perhaps they can do a better job of holding on tight and keeping him alive.
Moving into the action phase, we've got Muti then looking to put that quick kill out, and we have a little bit of a misstep from Sneaky there. Just takes out a bit more of the barrier to allow that accurate vault cam placement. It can be a bit tricky to get through if there's only been a single hit on there, but the information will now start coming in, I'm sure. Canavar just making his way up onto roof alongside Joe, and it looks like the drones will come into the penthouse area, and that's going to be their point of entry to start moving through and clearing this top floor. But as you say, many more players trying to hold the top floor this time, and Crunch gets the first kill onto Crying and looks for a challenge onto roof again, but always very, very difficult challenge onto roof there. Not an angle I'd like to be, not an angle I'd like to be fighting, to be honest.
Not at all. But with a minute off the clock, the 1 kill in favor of defense is looking good right now for Mocket fans. And as Dokapy continues to push on in, they are comfortable putting their phones away, knowing that the attack's teeth, or ash, is a little bit less likely to be involved. There's a very long angle being opened up there by Hibana. This does potentially have eyes across the entirety of the bomb site, but no one is available in that window,
By attackers.
so they can fall back a little way. They're going to leave Heisenberg there to play it in a bit, but they got to settle back into droning, find out where these defenders are. They thought they had some eyes, they thought this had some awareness, but every hole they've made, every angle they've looked at, doesn't actually have a man in it. So they're going to have to go and rethink it with only a minute left to go. That's on a tough clock. Crunch gets behind the bar again. The shock drone's coming in and looking for him. Does get zapped by once, looks for it, but he picks the wrong way. Joe is at the door. Muti, however, will trade Pieta straight back afterwards. There's the aggressive peek out from Smoke. He gets behind the bar and will smoke Sledge away from it, but Kavanagh can push in aggressively behind him, and there's no trade this time, so the numbers are even. This is good here once again then for PKD. The phone starts to ring from RXWD as they start to make their way towards this big door. He's got a tiny, tiny hole. Needs to land this shot. He will get the Sledge down. Does he get away in time? He does away. Kavanagh's taking a lot of damage from all sides. Sneaky gets the kill credit. Heisenberg now the last one alive, and they know where he is. He tags up the Valkyrie. Does get the kill on her, but gets away to safety. Nerox is close by. There's the long fight from Heisenberg, and Nerox will finish him off up close as he tries to push straight into the barrel of his weapon. And for now, Coastline continues.
Much better round from Mocket there on the defence. They've just managed to, I think changing up the site has helped them. Trying to keep them out of upstairs while having a downstairs site seems to have been a bit of a sticking point for them, but just a slightly more direct approach there with the upstairs site, able to play the majority of men on site, and that has definitely helped them there. So that brings us to 5-4 in favour of PKD now, and that first match point is always a difficult one. I think, there's a bit of a clinching element there that can be difficult just to get yourself over the line, but I'm sure they're going to look to finish it here if they can. If this goes to overtime, it really is anybody's game.
This map has been very heavily back and forth. You can see from the kill breakdown how close these two teams are. Only 1 kill in it, with Cryan having 1 extra over Crunch. These rounds have been coming right down to the wire, 1s on 1s, 2s on 1s. Very rare that you'll see entire rosters left alive come the end of the game. And I think that's definitely going to be the case for this round, at least. And as you say, if we then head up into overtime, well, that's when we have to start thinking that anything can happen. They do definitely have to feel like this should be PKD's map. They have been playing very impressively, or rather dramatically improvedly on this map compared to the first one. But is it enough of an improvement? Is it going to give them the victory and take them to Clubhouse? Or have Mocket learn enough along the way to swing back at the last second and secure themselves a 2-0 defeat?
I think if Mocket come in and take this here, then it's going to be a big ask for PKD to come back and win it from that point. Then it comes down to mental fortitude, having not sort of lost the match, but let it slip away on a double match point situation. But PKD just moving in quickly towards the building. Joe watching for the peaks there, and Pieta just looking in through to apply pressure onto that bathroom area through service entrance. Joe getting a great first kill for his team onto RXWD. So that takes the vigil and a lot of roaming capacity off the board, and the drones will now start moving directly into sight. And it's looking like quite a direct approach so far from PKD.
And given with the holes they put above the site and the control they want to have of the floor above, that Roma is an important member of this lineup. These grenades now coming in deep towards the Ella. She does turn her phone off. The grenades won't touch her. Shots from above are keeping them outside that window, but the smoke grenades here were used very early on by the defending team. And that could come back to bite them later on. There's also not a lot of health left on Smoke, on Muti himself. There's a shot on one. Sneaky gets crying down. That's going to be big. Important for the defense to even the numbers out with no trade back. There's a jump out. Crunch gets both. That's huge. That could be the overtime secured right there as he jumps out and gets both players upstairs. Nerox gets Kavanagh as well, and now it's just Heisenberg to try and give PKD this map before it's dragged over. But he's got 4 to find. They know very much so where he is. And even with their phones ringing, they're looking to find him. Sneaky's opening up the main door. He does hear it open. He runs off and away. There are a lot of them just leaving their phones ringing. He knows they are tracking him because he can hear the phones coming with it. Muti was already low, so he does manage to get that down. Can't find the body to finish him off, though. Needs to be careful to not get greedy for that kill, considering there's plenty of other players looking and left alive. Does get the kill as Muti tries to crawl away. But there's the potential run out. The spray's there and Crunch finds it. Nice shot from him. Largely his round, to be fair. That jump out in VIP really did seal that round for them. And to get the last one is even better.
3 kills outside of the map there for Crunch, as you say. How about that VIP run out? They just weren't expecting that at all, were they? Both of them stood there with the mouths wide open while Crunch ran out and just got the double kill. But that's the danger of stacking up sometimes. Both of those were in a row. You know, maybe if one was more towards the edge of the balcony there and just separated a little bit, it becomes a bit more difficult for Crunch there. And maybe it's a 1-for-1 trade, but that's not to take anything away from Crunch's play. That was absolutely fantastic there, and a great performance from Mocket to take themselves to overtime. But we will see now. The roles will swap every round. We need 2 clear rounds to win in an infinite overtime situation. So it will continue playing until somebody wins by 2 clear rounds. And we will see Mocket continuing on the defense here, which may help them. They've got the momentum there. That's what they've just been doing. And we're going to see them this time try to take the Penthouse Theatre defense, which is, I think, the first time that we've seen this in the 11th round.
My heart wants to say that's not true because it's one of the most popular sites, but my brain agrees. Yeah, we've not seen anyone play that so far here today, and it's going to be interesting to see why. Perhaps maybe it is a map that everyone knows this map. Everyone knows how to play this, so we're not going to give it a go. But also at the same time, it's a map that everyone knows how to play, so in large part, everyone should be confident on. But we'll see. We'll see what it is and why that is. As RXWD starts to set up his cameras. Both of them watching over this B site. Let's give great coverage of there, of course, with 2 cameras in those positions, watching through the smoke, looking at exactly where all the plant spots are. They did make some holes in the floor below as well, so they could have this, and this pulse being the one downstairs to try and deny the plants, if, that is, he doesn't die to these early potential spawn peaks that he wants to pull.
Yeah, wanting to grab the game and put his team at an early lead there, but it is always a risky strategy as it works both ways, and all it takes is those drones to be used cautiously. Keep an eye on the externals, and you could well lose your life very easily. But he's dipped away, and he's going to take the sensible decision and keep himself on the board to feed that information back in. Muti with the first kill onto Canavar, and I can only start to feel that things are just slipping for PKD a little bit here. Losing the Blackbeard early is huge. If you can keep the Blackbeard on that double window, it can really help you dominate this map.
That's gotta feel good. Getting a Blackbeard off of that big window early on, hearing the glass shatter and watching him crumble down as your first kill of the round that early on as well. Gotta feel good about it. They do still have a Montaigne, so they've got another shield, but on this site, he's not quite the force that he could be elsewhere, as he is also forced through some very tight corridors with powerful choke points. Planetkey definitely slowed themselves down after losing that Blackbeard. Very cautious about who goes where now and when and where and what they are pushing. As the aggressive runouts are continuing here.
Defender is exposed.
As the runout from Jaeger is actually worryingly close to Cryan, but I don't think he's aware of it. And Cryan is playing the slow and patient game to try and catch that Jaeger out, but in turn I think has just let him get away.
Jaeger having moved back to site by the looks of things. Crunch just outside there. He's on half health. And as I said on the board of game, and the same is true here, remember, for every kill that goes down on the PKD team now, that also impacts on that Montaña's effectiveness. You know, if essentially he's feeding information to other operators, he's waiting to cover while somebody plants. So for every operator that they lose, it just takes a little bit of his power and ability away as well, and the smoke will come out just to prevent the movement any further forward from that Montaña, and will do a little bit of damage as well. And I'm sure Mooty's going to try to continue that, but shots raining across there. How about that from Nerox, getting the kill onto Crying though? So that is another operator down. That's the Lion going down. The Pulse will take shots and will be down, so Pieda will get one back for his team, leaving us 4 versus 3 now as he moves in and finishes off the Pulse. And they will now rotate and try to just apply some pressure via that double window. I think Sledge is going to move up there, but with 15 seconds they are severely limited on time, and Heisenberg is going to have to make a plant.
Nice shot from Pieda. Heisenberg tries to push forward for the plant. There's a man on the window, but they've dropped the diffuser down. Sledge will fall from the window, and even with Joe kind of come from behind, Crunch gets the kill on Heisenberg before the timer ticks over, and Mocket do successfully defend. That shot from Sledge, though, as he repelled up on the window in and across towards the doorway, that was a nice quick pickup.
Yeah, that was a really belting shot across there, and I thought that might just change the fortunes for PKD a little bit. As we commented earlier in the round, the Blackbeard obviously wanted to play on that double window, but later on in the round, if you can get somebody there and cut off those rotations, double window can be extremely important, and with 15 seconds left, it's unlikely anybody has the time to make a Service or Lamborghini door run out, so you're generally going to be fairly safe up there, but they challenged it directly from the site instead and got it taken out, and as we saw, Montaña had to move in largely on his own, and that's where that theory comes in, whereby the other teammates being taken out make him less effective, because he had to push that on his own largely and go for the defuse. He was downed with the diffuser in there, and then it was all to do for PKD, and that leaves an attacking round away from Mocket taking a 2-0 victory here.
An attacking round that they've been doing very well on in the recent run. Is it enough? Where they're attacking hookers and billiards, somewhere that they have done before. They haven't been surprised by having to go to the theatre side of the map. They haven't been shocked by a last-second twist. PKD sticking to the tried and true as they now begin their setup for what could be a very, very important round for them.
Need to see how PKD counter what we saw last time. If you remember, Ash, I think it was RXWD, got himself up on the double window as Ash, and then we got Cruncher's book underneath into Sunrise and just started opening up that floor, and as that created movement within sight, RXWD had an absolute field day. I think he got a 4K on here, so it'll be interesting to see what PKD to prevent that happening again. It'll be equally interesting to see if Mocket even try it again, because you know it may be expected, but attempt at an early spawn peak. How about that from Crying? But traded straight back out by Crunch. Both teams want this like you would not believe.
Oh, yes. All right. The aggression from both teams goes on through. Dokubi for Doc. Gotta feel like the defense came out on top there, to be fair. Losing Dokubi that early is big for the attack. They do still have Lion because they brought both, but it's so incredibly strong. The run out from one man, Heisenberg being that man, takes down Nerox, and the Hibana is another big run out in exchange for the Bandit. Again, big win for the defense. Muti did trade him back, but when the Bandit batteries are pre-placed, there's the run out from Joe, and it's another successful one. He's now standing right on top of a drone. Can they trade back another way? Crunch? No, there it is. RXWD does take Joe down. So with Lion gone as well, it's a 2v2. And now everyone left on the board, bar the Smoke, is raw fragging power, really. And the Smoke is probably one of the most powerful operators you could have left in a 2v2. Still a minute and 50 to go, and now everything's really quieting down because everyone's a bit concerned and scared about what's lying in front of them. The attackers know that the defenders are playing aggressive and running around kind of mad. The defenders aren't sure of where the attackers are because of this speed and aggression. And now as they try to take stock to drone, they are scared of the roamers. But they do have the time.
absolute madness here in the final round then, as every run out is traded back out within 10-15 seconds, but some real aggression from PKD to try and keep themselves in it. But you have to ask, does RXWD know that the Jaeger of Piedra is just around the corner? I think he did, but there was nothing he could do. The movement was a surprise to him, and he moves out and gets the headshot onto RXWD, so that leaves us with Crunch on half health in here, 1 versus 2, but Piedra is very low on health. The smoke, however, very powerful here. The nade coming in to try and move him, which it does, but it won't. It does take some damage, but only around 20. Opens up there. Does he know Pierre's behind the column? I don't think he does. Sure, he's going to step out and finish this off. All he needs is the peak, but being very careful here. He's given his position away. As he tries to throw the nade, Piedra takes Crunch out, and that will bring PKD back into the game.
Yeah, that gets him just as he strafes back into cover. What a round. PKD going full aggression to really make sure they can make it count. And they did get a kill with every run out. So now it comes down to what happens. Sorry, next time round. What happens when they are left without that aggression? What happens when they have to play slower again? Do they have what it takes? Have they put Mocket on edge enough? Have they scared them?
I couldn't quite believe what I was watching that last round. It was just like PKD were backs to the wall, a cornered animal, and they had absolutely no options. Like you said, there was, a spawn peak got us started, and then there was 2 runouts as well. Both effective, as you say, 3 kills from 3, a spawn peak and 2 runouts, but they were traded back every time. So Mocket obviously sharp at the minute, right on top of things, and they will move back onto the defense, which they were extremely effective on last time, but we're having to change site now. And if you remember from Mocket's previous defenses, it was the downstairs objectives that they struggled with. So we're going to have to see here how effective they are at holding the upstairs.
Right. Mocket's defenses have been far more contained than that of PKD, but they were effective all the same. But for that reason, are they more predictable? Have PKD figured out what to expect? They are defending the kitchen, which we've seen both teams do successfully. As once again their roamers begin to set place upstairs. Now I know a lot of people are unsure about whether you should even use Twitch drones on the upstairs sites like that, because so the outside cameras like that, because it's very much a case of, well, you're just going to shoot them straight away anyway, whatever. But if you take them out early, a lot of the roamers will just sit there and spam those cameras to figure out where it is you've spawned. They'll sit there and just spam through all 3, figure out where someone spawned, for which one dies first, and that'll make them judge their spawn peaks or their positioning or their aggression early. So when you take it out by the Twitch drone early on and fresh out of spawn, they can't use that information.
Clearing the way.
Information being key in Siege, as you say, it's all about denying the enemy everything you can, every step of the way. But those vault cams all still in play, and they'll be feeding information in. I'm not sure too much. They certainly saw Joe move up onto the VIP deck there, but I don't think too much information other than that. We've got Crying moving in through Billiards, and we'll just miss the peek down onto RXWD down on the Cool Vibe stairs. Nerox is going to go and pick Mooty up, who has been downed, and will now return on half health. And upstairs control is largely and quickly going in favour of PKD, but they will keep challenging it from the bathroom there. You can get a nice little angle onto that hatch, but not an easy one to challenge from 2 floors below.
Not at all. So a bit of damage either way, but there's the first kill as Piedra takes down Crunch. Once again, the defenders have lost 1 man. This time it's the other way. As Crying gets another one. Sneaky goes down 2. This is looking good once more from PKD, but Mooty will finally answer back by taking down Kavanaugh. C4 goes up, blows, but won't actually kill anyone. Does a little bit of damage to Joe, I think, but he's going to shrug it off. Grenades are looking to come down, but won't touch anyone on their landing side. A minute to go. Yes, they picked up a couple of early kills, but they haven't done a whole lot since it. That grenade bounces off of Muti and then blows up underneath him. There's another shot coming from underneath. He does tag him up, but he's taken a lot of damage in return. Hung around too long. RXWD will fall. Now it's 1v4 for Nerox. Does take away that drone that spotted him. Gets away safely. 36 seconds and 4 people to go. It's definitely looking tough. And they do spot him.
Certainly a big ask, but Nerox gets in with the first kill. That's 1v3. I think he probably got it down there, but Joe managed to just finish him off. I think we were waiting for the inevitable almost in the 1 versus 4, and that will put PKD at match point again.
PKD taking the lead. Their last match point was in regular time. They were up 5-3. They unfortunately gave it away. They are now 7-6 on overtime, looking to force a third map. Muti and Mocket on attack, thinking very long and hard about their last pick. Now remember, of course, the defense from PKD last time was largely based on aggression and runouts. So, can they do that again? I doubt it. I don't imagine they're going to get away with it. Can they play a normal round? That is what we need to wait and see.
The kills just ramping up in favour of PKD now, and I think that could be the differentiating factor. If they take this map, they're certainly starting to win more of those gunfights. Just the timing dropping off for Mocket a little bit, getting caught on reloads and things like that. Just getting singled out and brought into sort of 2v1s. So Heisenberg will take the Maestro. We've seen him play that quite a few times now. Definitely a popular operator for him. And he's just going to be placing those cams and barbed wire. And we will see an attempt at the kitchen hold again. See if they can do any better than Mocket did in the previous round against them.
Alright, Mocket. Just play the round slower. Expect the unexpected. Don't let them surprise you with their aggression. And everything should be smooth sailing from here. You know you're a comfortable team. You know you're okay with things as they advance. But when they do things you weren't expecting, they really put you on edge.
Muti taking up that early angle into kitchen there, just looking to catch any of those defenders that are rotating back to site for the sort of late prep phase, early action phase positioning, but won't catch anybody. Going to move his drone quickly into VIP. I'm sure once again he sees the bandit there, and I'm sure they're going to be looking to get in there and get control upstairs as quickly as they can. It's something that they've seen a lot of success with previously, especially with Crunch on that book. But at the moment, they're a little bit of an impasse, and they're just going to have to start putting some challenges onto these roamers. But Joe there gets the first kill onto Nerox, and a beautiful view we had of it too. You could see it coming from a mile away, and he kept himself calm and got a very good angle onto that VIP window. Never easy. And now RXWD just suffering to the lesion there, telling them where he is. And I tell you what, things are getting difficult for Mocket as Kavanagh gets the kill onto Crunch.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Okay, this is looking very good here for the defensive side for PKD. Can they keep it up? They've had a good run of getting early leads and locking them in after the fact. Time now to see if they can do it again. Kavanagh tries to get aggressive and jump out like they did before, but this time it works against him. But they had the man advantage. They no longer do though. 3v3. Yes, the Mocket team are lacking in a little bit of health, but they have got a lot of abilities still to play with. Joe, though, does get them back in the lead. Takes down RXWD. Stays alive after the fact as well. Quick ticks of damage come through from elsewhere. Joe continuing to be mobile. A lot of the attacking players still spread around the map, looking for a chance to find one of these roamers, to find the one that's really made them work for this so far and taken out the majority of their team. But it's 20 seconds and they've got to get onto the site. They don't have the time to take patience and search for this guy. They don't have the time to sit back and let him come. They are going to try and sprint to the site. Muti is down and low. There's the jump in from one. Crane will finish the kill on Muti and gets the kill on Sneaky. And with that, we will head to map number 3 on Clubhouse.
Great plays from PKD there, just to finish things off. They certainly didn't have it easy through that last spell. Mocket with a very strong comeback, but exactly as expected from Planetkey Dynamics. They get a grip on a game and they just will not let go, no matter how hard that fight comes against them. So they are certainly here to win this. And as I said earlier on, getting onto that Clubhouse map there's a lot of development to be done yet of the strategies and the locations on that map, and particularly things like the new rotations and the new roaming potential. So this could be a bit of a crapshoot now for Mocket as to whether they can pick up this victory.
That's a good point. It's another one of those maps that could be a surprise. It's a map that everyone has been playing for a long time. But even with the changes, well, it's a different one, that's for sure. We'll wait and see. We've seen very different teams from both sides come out on these two maps. And once we give them a chance to saddle up and get ready for map 3, we will be in as soon as possible to see which of these two lineups we see appear. I've got to admit, I do have to still lean towards Mocket after that first game, but we've definitely seen some moments here coming out of PKD, which means no one would be surprised to see them come out swinging and surprising here.
Yeah, I think they'll probably look to carry forward that early aggression that we saw. It's a little bit more difficult to bring on Clubhouse. I don't think the runouts quite support it just the same as they used to do, but it's not to say that they're not possible. Coastline, you've got the VIP deck, which we saw used to good effect for that, and also the Lamborghini door and service runout onto Big Window and places like that. So it's a lot more easy to have that external aggression, I think. But that said, if PKD can carry that sort of aggression forward, it could be something that Mocket struggle with. But as you say, if you look at the two maps individually, I think the border win for Mocket was more convincing than the coastline win was for Planetkey. But you can look at two sides of every coin. Yes, Mocket have been the more convincing team in those terms, but you certainly can't count Planetkey out, because even facing such a good team, they've kept themselves in it and they've fought really hard to do so. So we will very soon, very shortly, be getting ourselves into the third map of Clubhouse, and we will be looking at those operator bans. And that's something at the minute that I found always throws up a few surprises as well, because once again, we're just not sure what we're going to see. It's all change, and like I say, it's a lot of gamesmanship coming into the operator bans on Clubhouse at the minute, I think.
I think you're right. There's a lot of different things all over. The way that different sites are attacked, the way that a lot of them are still up in the air, shall we say, undecided or flexible maybe for some of these teams and some of the people playing them, really means that things can kind of go any way in large part, as a lot of these players can still be incredibly flexible and surprising as they go.
Moving into the ban phase of our third map tonight then, I hope you've seen all of this match, because it's been an absolute thriller so far. We come into this one apiece between Planetkey Dynamics and Mocket Academy. We've seen fantastic plays so far. The pinnacle for me so far has to be that double kill run out from Crunch on the VIP deck of Coastline, but it wasn't enough to secure the win for his Mocket Academy, and they lost the map ultimately to Planetkey. But the first ban will come in now for Clubhouse, and not too much of a surprise to see the Hibana there keeping those hatches safe for a Church and Arsenal objective particularly.
Okay, here they come. What's the second one? It's been a Glaz so far. Every other round, every other map, we have seen Glaz in those two attack bans. We've now got a Hibana, which on Clubhouse can be very impactful, and there is still a second Glaz to follow it up then. So some things will remain unchanged from this map to the last, or rather the last map to this one, perhaps, depending on how you want to look at it. But
And
others will
some
not.
things never change.
Yes.
In they come with the Mira ban again then. Not too much of a surprise, but I don't think necessarily as useful as she is on other maps on this one, but certainly some good spots that can be used in cash, and the church wall onto main stairs is always a popular one. And we are just waiting now on Mocket Academy to bring in their final operator ban, which will be another defender, and they will be on the defense first, so they will play 5 defending rounds without Mirror and without Echo, the same 2 defenders that we saw banned out last time. And Echo is one that we are seeing more and more of as people get used to those 2 drones and start to build them into their strategies.
Okay. Echo is a very powerful one on this new map as well, especially with the new layout and the new play style of the upstairs map and of the cash room location. So to see that being brought forward, to see that being experimented with in the bans, forces the defensive team to use a Maestro instead, which, while he does a similar job to the Echo, is far less mobile.
I think I won't say far less effective because that would be completely unfair on Maestro, but in terms of direct plant denial, I think less impactful than Echo is probably fair to say. You know, his information gathering is largely the same, but he has the ability to see through the smokes, but when it comes to actually stopping that plant, Echo can physically do it, whereas Maestro, you have to get on that plant literally the second they start defusing, otherwise they can still get it finished. So yeah, like you said, a good second best certainly, and similar uses, but maybe not quite as impactful as that Echo at the minute.
Yeah, not quite is indeed the way to go with. They do make sure to do that tunnel reinforcement. It is nice to see a team heading down the back end of the the basement of the map once again. As I mentioned, despite the rework and cash room being different, everyone's heavily in favor of going up there, but ultimately it hasn't changed much, if at all, since before the rework, and even then it wasn't a particularly wonderful spot to defend, and because of its lack of changes, everyone's still kind of got its number. So now's the chance to see.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think things get played a lot of the time because they knew. You know, everybody assumes cash has changed, so, you know, there must be all these great new strategies for it. And there are certainly some new options, but like you say, you still face very, very tough attacks up there. So I think it is just leaving basement with the edge when it comes to viable sites. But I'm really enjoying the new clubhouse. I think it's fantastic, Matt. I think the rework has been good for it. But
I missed the bar play.
I've got to agree with you. I can't disagree with you. I do miss the bar and stock. Although, as I said earlier, somewhat linear attacks are still sometimes the basic is the good stuff. You know, you can just focus then on the gunfights and everything else, rather than attacks from 3-4 different angles and everything else, which are fun in their own way. But yeah, I did enjoy the bar and stop play. But we'll have Heisenberg moving in to do the job of Hibana, so the choices have to be made now with only 2 hard breaching options. Hibana would normally move in and just drop all 3 hatches to the team, leaving Thermite open to go and take out the dirt tunnel wall possibly, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, and Thermite will be taking 2 hatches instead, I think.
Yeah, they'll open both on through and take them out of the picture. It's not a tough job, and looking at the room replacement and the location of the defenders, they're not going to contest it a whole bunch either. This is still, even after the rework and even as it used to be, one of those sites where playing 5 men downstairs is highly recommended, and as is doing a good job for them and helping them out. The impact nade will go out top, but it's too slow, and the thermite charge will still complete here from Sneaky. First kill has come through though, and it's on Kavanaugh. He picks it up. Grenade is on the other side of the bar. Sneaky doesn't take any damage from it. He knows they're close and closing in on him now. They are once more looking for an opening. Nerox picks up the first kill for the defense, and the smoke grenade goes off and actually does a lot to Heisenberg too. Nerox gets the second one, and that's the diffuser drop now down 2. So here comes the last 30 seconds. 3 attackers left up, and they've got to close in on the diffuser and the spot. Drop comes in and is firing from blue. Takes him down one way, but Joe's there to back him up, takes Sneaky out. It is 3v3 again, but with 15 seconds to go, they can't even think about planting right now. Joe gets 1 kill. The trade isn't there as XWD gets him. Pieta takes down Muti, but then he has to run out of ammo while fighting Nerox. And it is a defense win once more on the basement.
Great anchoring from the Bandit of Nerox on that one. I think it's worth commenting. I'm pretty sure I'm right when I say this. Nerox was actually located all the way back in Arsenal near the dirt tunnel entrance. And those 2 first kills that he picked up that really got that defense moving for Mockit actually came from the line of sight opened up by the thermite of PKD. It allowed him a view into Moto, and especially with the gun of Bandit there, that was very good plays at such a long range. That gun can be a little underpowered at range like that. So you've got to question the position of that thermite. Maybe would have been better as he looked at the triple wall to be placing it over to the left-hand side, and it just doesn't open up that line of sight onto Moto there. It's maybe not even an error. It's maybe not even fair to call it a mistake, and it is very, very slight, but it could have just cost them that round.
Yeah, I mean, they may well have not known this is placement. They may not well have realized that that's what is going to open up for them by doing that. And, well, now they'll know differently. So they have to make sure they drone out that side of the map, that side of the
Attackers need to
location before they open that wall up again, or risk having the same result and outcome. Now then, up to the top floor we head now, and with that top floor defense comes one of our new sites, comes one of the changes to Clubhouse. They're into the gym and master bedroom, but that of course requires a lot of defense to be placed around the construction location, thanks to the fact that that is now a heavy focus on how you play this map.
recovered the bomb diffuser. Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Interesting choice to leave the double wall to the rear of site soft there, just blowing some holes underneath it to prevent any approach to place charges on there, but we don't have an Ash on the opposing team, so it would be down to Sledge to get up to that and open it up, so that could well be a good defense of that area. Certainly not going to want to do that with the holes at the bottom, but they've also left the wall directly into Cash Room Soft, which has allowed Sledge to just come up there and get that open straight up. So I'm not 100% sure about that choice there, but Sneaky going for a redeployment of his mute jammer there. They're allowing themselves into cache and surrounding areas quite quickly and easily. When defending bedroom, those exterior walls become very, very important. They're certainly not pushing the jacuzzi side at the minute. And in will come the shield. Out will go the C4, but it will not get the kill.
Time to make a new door.
They did try to use it to bait and switch that Monty into turning around and looking towards it, but it didn't quite work. Oh, a nice kill from Sneaky, though. Takes down Crying. That's the thermite off the table. Crunch gets Joe as well. This is looking good here from Mocket. Crunch takes out that drone, but PKD continue to try and push through the garage side now. They do have concussions and blasts still in tow here, thanks to Zofia. She is playing in that spot right next to Crunch, and he sees her go prone, will stand up for it. Kavanaugh comes up from underneath to trade him back, so it is a small win here for the attacking team, but he's immediately caught by Sneaky at a distance again through their own thermite breach, and now it's time for them to swarm the Montaigne. And yes, he drops his shield down to try and get one melee kill, but Sneaky gets his third of the round and is credited with that final kill.
Fantastic plays from Sneaky, and that just goes to show exactly what they were doing by leaving Cash so wide open. They allowed and even encouraged PKD into what became a very effective kill box there by having the rotation move up from garage to stairs behind them. It just created a really dangerous crossfire that ultimately cost PKD dearly, and that takes the round count 2-0 in favour of Mocket, and we will see them moving back down to Church and Arsenal and see if we get a slightly different approach from PKD, because they were cut down quite unceremoniously last time.
So, Monty is teased again, and then once more switched away from. And, a castle switch from the other side as well. All right. 2 successful defense rounds in a row then for Mocket. Time for a third, perhaps? Or, as happened on the last couple of maps, is this the time that we see things swing the other way and the attacking lineup finally gets one on the board?
We will see a very similar setup, I think, this time, given the success. But we've got Nerox on the castle this time instead of the bandit that he enjoyed so much success with last time. I think probably a good choice to leave the bandit. I think they're reasonably confident that the thermite is going to open up at least one hatch, so then that leaves them with a single wall to breach, and I think they're probably fairly confident of defending that without needing to worry too much about preventing that breach. So I think that's probably the logic behind the castle instead of the bandit this time.
All right. Here they go. Blackbeard and Montaigne. It's a terrifying combination. It's a horrible fight to take if they're coming your way. But Mocket are definitely a confident team today, and will give it their best shot. So, as they do push in aggressively, Crying's drone will lead him through and spot under that castle barricade. Crunch. You can see that he's close. They know that he's there. He can't quite see the drone, but it's going to come in and spot it there. And then ducks away. Next one coming out as well. And he's thinking about that one too, but it spotted his feet. His turn to go prone. He's going to look for it, but he can't quite see him. This is a tense game of chicken between these two, but ultimately Crunch will play it all day. He doesn't have a clock to fight against. As he ducks away, the drone will come in again. Does zap him once, but he's more than happy to let that happen as the punches now start to rain in on this castle barricade.
Going to be a very difficult location to assault, as you say there. The defenders with the inherent advantage of not having to play against the clock. It's the attackers that have to make something happen. Nerox just getting a late castle barricade placed up there, but Joe just takes smoke out on our screen, so that's an important defender off the board and some essential resource that's been lost there. Now, does Nerox know that there's 2 other players in Arsenal with him? I think he does, given the crosshair placement there. He's just keeping himself low behind the boxes, I think, just waiting for backup to arrive and to maybe try and create a little bit of a crossfire as this Monty moves in here. Not a push that we see too often anymore, Monty in Dirt Tunnel, especially without a glass.
Yeah, you're right. But this blue push, I want to say, is easy these days thanks to the changes to blue, but when you've got no one else playing the other parts of it, it's still a risky one for Crane. But thanks to the Blackbeard Montaigne coming from construction tunnel and getting those both kills, he's no longer in such a dangerous position. He can head through as those two are picked off. Kavanagh gets sneaky as well. The Maestro is going to really punish the man that's planting before he gets picked off. And he'll grab one kill. But Cryan coming from blue, gets in behind RXWD, trades that kill straight back. And there it is. I called it. Time for the attacking team to finally get one on the board and stop that defensive runaway. And they did it with that terrifying combination of Blackbeard Monty coming from construction.
Great plays from Pieda there to get that double kill. I honestly thought that was going to come from Crying. It seemed like they'd I think they had forgotten about Crying largely, to be honest. I don't think there was any challenge going to come on to him in blue. If he'd moved down there on the touch a little bit quicker, I think he'd have probably got the 2 kills himself. But as it was, Pieda managed to just maneuver himself into a good position and got them for himself. So great individual play there from Pieda just to spur that attack along, put himself and his team into a seriously advantageous position, and they did exactly what they needed to do. The thing I liked about PKD there was they had a plan. They obviously stuck to it. They played very confidently, but sort of not cautiously, but they just played it slowly. They knew what they wanted to achieve and where they were pushing from, and they didn't panic. When they got down to Dirt Tunnel, I think they were down there for about 30 seconds with the Castle of Nerox just stood opposite them, and there wasn't really anywhere they could go at that point, but they just waited. They knew that they had time. They waited for the rotations to start, and when they did, they were ready, and that was good plays from PKD.
Yeah. It was a nice one to watch too. Slow, concise. I did get a little bit worried when Twitch and Jaeger were dancing for quite so long in that spot, blue. But it was a good recovery from that, and the Blackbeard Monty combo really helped her get down that tunnel and helped them make their impact on the round. As it is though, Mock are confident they won't fall prey to the same mistake again. They're going to give it another shot. They need to hold that construction tunnel. That's a big thing here. And they've got a Legion who would be great at doing it. You pop a couple of mines in that location. You pop a couple of mines in the tunnel. And Monty has to keep backing out and healing. Backing out and pulling it out. Backing out, pulling it out. And it really makes it tough for them to get down there. But do they want to put him elsewhere? Are they using him in another spot? No. They are putting him in the tunnel, which is good. So, it's going to open up, and he starts out by putting a couple of traps down. Those ones straight at that. Drone gets picked off. He does pre-fire behind the Montaigne, which at the moment is currently clear. He does, however, soak up that Legion mine, and takes quite a bit of damage out of it too. Remember, it's 10 damage every trigger, 8 damage every tick. He took 3 ticks. He lost 25 of his health there. And there's a lot more Legion mines in that tunnel for him to soak up. So, meanwhile, the rest of the team are upstairs and above here in the kitchen trying to do damage through holes in the floor as best they can. Heisenberg is down to under half his health now, just from Legion mines in that tunnel. Now, if Legion has, or if anyone can play close with a couple of impact nades, that could be all that's needed to get through the rest of that Montaigne's health.
That, or potentially even a well-placed smoke grenade if they can play the smoke in behind him. What a great kill from Crunch there! Getting the diffuser down from Joe as well as the sledge moves into the kitchen area, and he is going to defend that doorway with his life, I'm sure now, and that is exactly what's going to happen as Canavar moves up and gets Crunch. Muti gets the kill onto Crying, and that leaves us 3 versus 3. But if the smoke grenade can land behind Monty, or even just above his head, he's going to struggle to move out of that smoke in time now that he is seriously low on health, and I think that's the problem. Last time they sent an operative in with Monty, this time he largely came down on his own, so he didn't have anybody to take those Legions out for him. Maestro is going to make very short work of Monty at this rate, and I think if this continues we're going to see him taken down, but he still seems to have about 10 or 12 health left. but the shots keep raining in, and this is going to be very difficult for Heisenberg to survive, and he will not, as Nerox gets the kill. RXWD with a second onto Canavar, and that leaves us in a 1 versus 3 situation for Peter, and he will get the first kill onto
Diffuser's still in kitchen.
It is. That's a very good point there, Panky. He has got a lot to do. This is not going to be possible. He's going to have to chase the kills here on the Blackbeard. He gets the first onto Nerox. But RXWD does exactly what's needed. I almost want... The pause from me there was wanting to scream for RXWD just to keep himself alive rather than get into the fight. But he did what he needed to do for his team, and he got the round win. That'll be 3-1 in favour of Mockit.
It was close there once he got that kill, leaving them then onto the 1v1. That Blackbeard could have pulled it off, but he didn't quite know where RXWD was. And he did then follow it up by falling prey to it. Much better hold of that Montaigne, but ultimately he kind of threw his own life away by going in as deep as he did towards the end of that round. If he'd have just stayed more around the doorway, let the Blackbeard perhaps come in with him or something similar to that, he wouldn't have been so exposed to that Maestro camera. But there is the power of those Maestro cams in full effect as well. He may not have realized it was there and was then forced to choose between taking that damage and fighting a smoke. And, well, normally that damage is kind of negligible. When you've taken that much from Legion Mines beforehand, that's not quite the same.
Yeah, I think the big problem for PKD there was just leaving Monty on his own for far too long. You don't necessarily need somebody holding his hand, but you certainly need a second operative close by who can just help him do things like take out the Legion Mines without him dropping his shield, and do things like put the shots in on the call-outs that he's making. So just a little bit of a misstep there, I think, from PKD. But we will head back up to a bedroom and gym objective. We saw Mockit defend this extremely well last time. They managed to encourage and filter PKD into the cash room area and just created a massive kill box in there, basically. So I think we're going to have to see something different. I would like, personally, to see Cannavaro on the Thermite, get himself over to Hot Tub area, get himself over to Hot Tub Terrace and open that wall if possible, and then move over and open something on the cash office side so they can start to create a pinch and prevent all those defenders' guns being placed into one location like they were last time.
So then, let's see if they can actually do it. It is the last round of the half. So far, we're yet to have a 4-1 half here today. Both these games have gone 3-2 on previous maps. Let's see whether or not they can keep that up.
Great ADS placement there is just going to save the Mockit player as he jumps up onto the table there just to keep himself out of the way. It was the Bandit that's just in there looking to prevent any entrance into cash from that CCTV room, and the pressure will start to mount. We've got 3 of PKD feeding into that same area again, and we've got 2 of Mockit waiting to hold them off. The Maestro feeding information back in, and the Sledge will now finally take that out. I'd have maybe expected that to happen a bit quicker, but shots will be exchanged, but no major damage done. In fact, no damage done at all so far. Just lots of bullets flying, and the wall will be open. Crying with the first kill for PKD onto Sneaky, but Crunch will take a double of his own onto Canavar and Crying, so that will leave 4 versus 3 in favour of Mockit now.
They do get one straight back there as Pieta takes down Crunch. He was the last one pinned inside construction. PKD have gathered control of it this time round. They got stopped here previously, but now they're in. Better job of opening it up and pinning the defenders inside. But now they've got to get past it. Now they've got to go to the next step, next area. Where do you go from here? They hadn't got this far previously. They don't know what the defense on the other side of this room looks like. That's one it looks like for Joe. RXWD with a pre-fire prone spot on the corner. Finds that first kill. There's another man proning in straight to him. He doesn't get that one straight away, but he does get it eventually as Pieta will fall. Looks for the third one, but it's not there. Heisenberg does come out on top. Picks up the diffuser. He's got 30 seconds to go. Muti up close with the shotgun. That was his last smoke grenade, I believe. Heisenberg should get blown away here, and he does indeed. 4-1 to the Mocket defense. Going to be feeling good going into their attack half.
Very solid there from Mocket, and I think what we saw there was quite a clever defense with a number of layers to it. So what happened there was, as PKD moved into that first layer, just coming inside of sort of garage and the CCTV area, they lost a couple of players. So then they move into that next layer of the defense with only 3 players, and they lost another couple as they came through there to Heisenberg on the Maestro, leaving eventually only the Lion to approach the site solo, which is then the central or final layer of the defense, and that's where Muti was waiting with that shotgun to make very short work of him. So a very, very nice and well planned defense from Mocket there.
All right then, their attack. It's Dokkaebi, but no Lion this time. They aren't bringing both to the table. PKD's defense did have a 6th pick over to Bandit. They're also heading down towards the basement. Again, nice to see it first, and it is the more comfortable homie site still. But that blue hold is a little bit tougher than it used to be. Gives the attacking teams a couple more options. Heisenberg, a little bit unsure as to where he wants to put his first camera from the looks of it. No, he was unsure as to whether he was reinforcing that or not. He is now going to be the one to reinforce the back tower. Construction tunnel, sorry. You do still, of course, have those Legion mines to also try and save the tunnel push. But here's the thing, is that there's a lack of Montaigne here for Mocket. So the chances of then pushing someone in that tunnel is a bit lower. At least it will be a secondary thing to the rest of their attack. Whereas with Heisenberg and the PKD, it was their full force push.
Yeah, I think we're much more likely to see a push towards Church this time, similar to the first PKD attack that we saw, where they moved down and got that church wall opened up. But I think, yeah, more likely to see an approach on that side this time. Opening up the kitchen, I think they'll maybe get kitchen hatch, and then they will try to work Arsenal from that side vertically, and then push down the main stairs. But time will tell. I'm sure that Mocket have a plan all lined up for this. You know, if you're playing Clubhouse, that you're going to be attacking this site. So Crunch being allowed in there early, there's not too much of a challenge coming from upstairs, and he has absolutely decimated that floor. Out comes the C4, but will not find a kill, and that will allow Thermite now to open up that hatch as predicted. But the question is, where is Muti going to move for that second Thermite charge?
It's interesting they made that much hole in the floor before Thermite came in. There's a chance that he could have been the one that was picked off by perhaps an unlucky play, or hell, a C4 through the holes that they made. There were still a couple of players running around through those holes in the floor for a while, but they somehow got out of there without any damage. Now they've ended up in the construction tunnel. I would like to see that be the second Thermite charge, which looks like it's where Muti went over to, because they know that's the default fallback spot for defenders after the kitchen has pushed them out. And now you can have a man sit at this hatch, push through the construction tunnel, shove them out of there straight into this man's crosshairs. And they're both being pinged, they're both being spotted. Here comes one, the pre-fire's there, but Crunch misses it. Cryan is happy. There's the pushes coming forward, the flashbangs come through, but the smoke grenades are delaying them. Impact grenades from below. Grenade from Crunch is going to head towards the door. It's going to land close. Not quite close enough. The phones continue to ring. The pre-fire continues to go through. Once again, a couple of players looking to head round. NRX gets the first kill of the round. They're falling back again. Crunch still has them pinned inside, but they need to get them out. There's the run. They both get tagged up, but they are low, but they are out. And that's what they're not low, sorry, I lied. They didn't take any damage, but they are out. And that's what's big for them. Smoke grenades are coming in. Muti's going to drop on through. He's the man with the diffuser and begin to plant straight away. More people drop. More spray comes through. Crunch gets the first kill. Lots of movement going on. A Sneaky gets one and Joe gets another. Still a player in the construction tunnel, but the plant has gone down. Main stairs is the home for NRX, but Pieta takes him out. And it's a 2v2 now as Joe and Pieta are fighting RXWD and Crunch. RXWD falls back up the construction tunnel. He'll go up to the kitchen now and try and hold the diffuser from there. Crunch, meanwhile, is 1v2 for a little while here on the site. Sees the first one, but again, he's not landing his shots. These are big misses from Crunch today. He can't get either of them. Joe actually did get downed. I take that back. Whether the call went over, I don't know. But RXWD is in a 1v2. He'll finish Joe off. So that actually gives his position away as well. So then I know he's upstairs. Pieta, though, has to defuse. So the tease is there. Now the new sound means he knows he's not defusing it. He knows he's stuck away. Pieta's going to save the KD. And RXWD will hold the round for a match point win to push Mocket one round away.
What a flurry of activity from Mocket there. I think 4 dropped the hatch simultaneously after the smokes from Dockerby went in, and they managed to stick the plant. Inevitably, in that sort of chaos, they lost a few men. You can't help that. But they had a good plan to get at least 2 of them out of there. 1 bolted straight for the tunnel, which is what was needed. Took the attention whilst the other moved up to kitchen, and that is ultimately what won them the round. As you say, a few stray shots from Crunch there, which is quite unusual for Crunch. He's had a very good game so far tonight, but the last round or 2 just seems to have maybe needs to loosen his wrist up a little bit. He just seems to have gone off a little bit, but he's still on 6 kills and second top in his team, so I'm sure they won't mind too much. But yeah, definitely maybe needed a bit more pressure applied to the entrance of tunnel there. I think on a different day he'd have probably had 1, if not both of those as they came out. But all's well that ends well. 5-1 in favour of Mocket now, moving into round 7, and this will be a whole bunch of match points for Mocket.
Yeah, they can comfortably take their time with these rounds, try out some different things, perhaps learn some different routes. Hell, maybe try one of PKD's own strategies against them if they really want to be like that, because they are looking down at a great start to this map. And they are doing similar to that by bringing a Montaigne in. I think they're going to try exactly the same strategy they just did, but the difference being, rather than losing so much time in that construction tunnel, rather than having such a tough time of pushing the players out of there once they've got kitchen control, they're instead going to just use the Montaigne to push them out, because it'll make it much quicker and easier to do. Oh, hang on. Oh, no. All right. PKD looking to try and trick the back tunnel. The shield's gonna sit in one spot. I'm not sure if it's the right one from Heisenberg, but it'll definitely help out. All the trophy systems are in there. As for the grenades, well, there's only 2 of them from Crunch. There are a couple from Nerox. Let's see. What do you see and what do you know about this here, Mocket? And do you care?
An awful lot of resources, you say, spent on that dirt tunnel. If the push is to come from elsewhere, then that is going to be a lot of wasted resource. But they've got a Monty, so what else are they going to look to do? I suppose you could argue there is a use for Monty out of blue, but it is a little bit more difficult because you've got that church wall to contend with. Not quite as contained as dirt tunnel, but the thermite of Mutate at the minute is nowhere near the tunnel, so it would look as though out comes the smoke grenade to try and prevent, but I think the thermite is down on the second hatch, so that is now 2 hatches open, and Sneaky gets the first kill for Mocket onto Joe, and Monte is, as I said, working from the church side instead, so they've certainly baited the resources out towards the tunnel, and a lot of those have now been wasted, meaning that the flash grenades and everything else that can be thrown in is free to do so with no ADSs there. The C4 of Bandit just moving Monty, but not doing any damage at all. RXWD just happy to stand in that corner and cause a nuisance of himself while the push comes from behind. And as soon as Canavar turns his back, RXWD gets onto the pistol and does exactly what Monty does best. And RX getting the kill onto Heisenberg. Sneaky with the kill onto Crying, and that's 1 versus 5 for Peter now. And he is nowhere to be seen. He's upstairs. He gets spotted by Muti, and that will be the game. That will be the match, and that will be the night in favour of Mocket.
I like that from Mocket. They had a very strong attack the previous round. They had a very strong setup the previous round. They took operators that looked like they were going to do a similar or identical thing. They let all the resources get placed up front in the wrong place by the defensive lineup, and then they abused that by aggressively pushing the back, surprising them, getting themselves into a spot that PKD were not ready for, using something that they were not expecting in the shields.